Good evening and welcome to the Select Board and Wage and Personnel Board meeting on Tuesday, July 8th, 2025 at 5:45 p.m. Is anyone besides LakeCAM recording? Seeing no one, I'd like to call this board to order.
Lucky here.
Candido here.
Carboni here.
Hunt here.
And let us pledge of allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Second item on the agenda tonight is the introduction of Robert Alford, our new assessor. Hello, hello, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Have a seat. We just didn't get the chance to meet you through the process, so we were hoping that you could tell us a little bit about yourself and how you're finding things in the assessor's office at Lakeville.
My name's Robert Alford, Robbie to most people. I've been in assessing for 31 years. Started as a board member, and then I worked in Holliston, Norfolk, and Easton. Most of my time in Easton. I've done a lot of ATB cases, most of them successful. I think I lost one, but I don't count it as a loss because it was less than the settlement we were looking at. So to me, that was a win. I'm involved in I'm on the dock side of my town. I'm on the Advisory and Finance Committee. So I'm pretty active in my town as well. And so far, I'm enjoying Lakeville.
Great, we're really looking forward to working closely together. This board usually has more interactions around like Chapter 61 lands and any type of land takings and things that we're interested in getting numbers for. So I look forward to spending some time with you and having some good conversations. I know Andrew speaks very highly of you and he's happy to have you aboard. And so, yeah, the rest of the board, any questions or anything?
You must like what you do if you've been in it for so long.
I do. When I was in high school, I worked in a country store, which was very customer service oriented. So I like people. Even the crazy people, as I would say.
We don't have any of
None of
those.
you
so
do
like-
that, yeah.
Well, every town has it. Every town has it.
No.
But you know, whenever I've interviewed, one of the questions always is, what is your strongest and what is your weakest? And I think for me, it's both. It's the people. I enjoy talking to people, explaining things to people. Before I left Holliston, one person and I, we were playing telephone tag for 3 or 4 days, and finally, when we finally connected, she said, you know what, I'm all set. I talked to my neighbor, and she talked to you last year, and she explained everything to me. So I always feel, you know, spending time with someone answering questions, they're able to explain to someone else, so it saves time in the long run. The bad side with that is you tend to get some of the people, they tend to call you and they want to speak to you instead of anyone else that they're supposed
Performance
to talk
punishment.
to.
You do
So,
such a good job
yeah.
that they look to you. But
So.
that's a good problem to have. Excellent. One of the things I think this board has talked about extensively before, it's a practice that we used to have before COVID, and we used to have the assessors come in to the COA and speak to the seniors about credits and abatements and things like that. So I know that that's something that the previous board had talked about, and maybe this current board is really in favor of, just making sure our seniors get the benefit of your wisdom.
I've done that presentations in many towns. When I was on the Board of Assessors in my town, I did it for my town, so sure,
Yeah.
we can set something up.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Great.
Chris, Paul,
Nope.
Nothing?
Welcome.
all right.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Well, welcome,
Pleasure to
and-
meet you.
Yeah, and hopefully you're nice and cool at home, because it's just not that cool in here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
you.
I know you got a busy agenda.
All right.
We certainly do.
Thank
All right, item number 3 is select board announcements. I wanted to add on one sad announcement here, and it's the passing, and forgive me if I get emotional, the passing of Bob Bouchard. Bob was 35 years on the Conservation Commission. He was dedicated to the town, always did more than was asked, always showed up for things when needed, and was always there for some expertise. Bob started as a conservation agent a few months before I came on board as TA. I will miss his chuckle and his kind and calm demeanor, and his ability to make sure calmer heads prevail throughout all sorts of meetings. And my condolences to his friends and family.
And Madam Chair, I'd also like to add another, this one's hard too.
Yeah.
Norma Roby passed as well last week. She did serve in our town for a very long time. I'm not quite sure the number of years, but very active individual in our town too. So last week was a great loss for our community. And our condolences.
Yeah.
Friends and family as well.
In other announcements, there'll be a grand opening ceremony for the Council on Aging Food Pantry. This is a tremendous service and a tremendous upgrade. The food pantry will be for older adults, 60 and older, needing food assistance with no proof of income required. The pantry will help to supplement food needs, but it's not a monthly full shopping pantry. Visits to the food pantry are by appointment only and can be scheduled by calling 508-947-7224. In partnership with the Military Order of the Purple Heart, Veteran Service Officer retired Technical Sergeant Christine Boone and the Lakeville Select Board invite residents to attend the designation of Lakeville becoming an official Purple Heart town. The ceremony will take place on July 30th, 2025 at 1 p.m. at the pavilion behind the Old Townhouse. If inclement weather arises, the ceremony will be inside the Old Townhouse. The Arts Council kicks off tonight at the pavilion at the Townhouse, which is actually going into the library now because of the weather. They just had an announcement on Facebook. I get all my info from Facebook. From 6 to 8 p.m. with the Moonbellies performing. On July 15th, the Wooden Project Band will perform. On July 22nd, Black Vinyl Band will perform. And the last concert will take place on July 29th with the Total Strangers performing. To get more information about these concerts, please visit the town's website at www.lakevillema.org under the Front News tab. Does anyone else have some select board announcements that they would like to speak to, or anything that I've missed? Hearing none. On to agenda item number 4, the town administrator report. Andrew.
Thank you. The Economic Development Committee will be meeting for the first time next week at 6 o'clock, July 14th at the police station. The Town Hall Building Reuse Committee will be meeting at some point at the end of July. I think after we approve someone tonight, potentially, we'll have...
Can't just be one person. Yeah.
No, exactly. So we'll have a mostly full complement. I think we should start meeting. I attached updated fire station project financial information. Can be found attached. Let me know if you have any questions. And the only other thing I would add is that myself and Mike Ellis met with Jack Higgins today. We went over some budget issues and just general projects coming up. That'll be in this coming town administrator report.
And when we're talking about projects, we're talking about future capital projects for them?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. So they have a general list. I think he's going to send a more formal list to us, so I can share that with everyone.
Okay.
But good meeting. So communication is definitely there.
All right. I appreciate it. That's a key component of everyone's development is communications.
And if I can, Madam Chair, you meet
Absolutely.
with Jack Higgins once a month, correct, if I'm not mistaken?
We're trying to.
Okay.
Summer's tough with vacations. Trying to schedule stuff has been tough, but I think going forward, we're gonna meet monthly.
That's good.
Yep.
Fantastic. Anything else, Andrew?
Nope, that's it.
All right. We have 5 more minutes, so let us go to item number 9, please.
He's not quite in attendance yet.
Is that there?
Not yet, no.
10?
That's Mike too.
Yeah.
Let my character.
Could do number 8 if you'd like.
Yep. Let's go for 8. Lucky number 8. Agenda item number 8 is discuss and possible vote to appoint Colleen Lieb as Executive Assistant to the Select Board and the Town Administrator. Andrew, would you like to speak to this?
Yes, so after a search, we got back probably a dozen or so resumes and cover letters, all really impressive. Big submission pool. It was great to have. We interviewed about 6 people, myself, Mike Ellis, and Lillian Drain, town clerk. The unanimous decision was Colleen Lieb. I worked with Colleen for about 4.5 years while I was in Middleborough. She's worked there for 8 years. She most recently is working for the town of Hanson, doing pretty much exactly the job that Tracy does. So I don't think there'll be a huge transition to the role. She lives right down the street in Middleborough, and I think she's going to be a big asset. Good knowledge base and even better personality. So
Well, that's fantastic.
She'll fit right in.
I'm happy you have a full complement now in the office. Tracy leaving is going to obviously be a big change, and having support in those roles is going to be key for success, not just you, but for everyone interacting with the office. So I really appreciate you pulling full steam to get everyone up and rolling really quick for this fiscal year.
tentative start date would be July 21st.
Okay.
So there'll be a few weeks of cross training.
And I don't need to ask that question. Thank you.
It was coming.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, I also, Colleen does recording, she's one of our recording secretaries
Since
too, so
2020.
I think she's
Yeah,
you know,
she's
pretty
got-
in tune with,
She is, and she's friends with people around here. Lakeville and Middleborough is close enough that there's friendships.
Yeah.
along, you
She's
know.
been forced to read our meetings for the last
Right.
5 years, so she's
Yeah.
already familiar.
so,
Fantastic.
and it's your recommendation to
Yes.
appoint, okay?
I will take a motion.
I will make a motion to appoint Colleen Lieb as the Executive Assistant to the Select Board and Town Administrator with a start date of July 21st, 2025.
Seconded.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Plug eye.
Candido, aye.
Carboni, aye.
Hunt, aye.
Welcome aboard, Colleen. And we're going to go for agenda item number 5. We're going to meet with Karen Cahill from Cape Cod Cranberry Growers Association. And Karen has a presentation to share over on the screen. If you would like to go have a seat over there near a microphone and introduce yourself.
Okay. As you said, I'm Karen Cahill. I'm the Deputy Executive Director with the Cape Cod Cranberry Growers Association. It's a mouthful, also known as Massachusetts Cranberries. Thank you so much for having me. I saw your very packed agenda, so I will go quickly through this presentation. You can stop me if you have any questions, or afterwards, or follow up whenever it strikes you. Basically, just giving kind of a high-level industry overview of where the industry has been, where we are, and where we're going. Lakeville is synonymous with cranberries. It's very important that we have a good relationship. Part of the reason I'm here is just to let you know that the association exists and that we're here as a resource if projects or any concerns or anything comes up. There's nothing in particular today that's, you know, an issue. This is more of a informational overview. So the association, we're one of the oldest trade associations in America. We've been here since 1888. We have about 200 family farms that we represent, which is approximately 90 to 95% of the Massachusetts industry. It's a volunteer organization, so some people choose not to take part. But those that do, we provide direct grower services. We help them with regulatory compliance, be it pesticide credits, helping with all kinds of different regulatory things, even helping them with their DOT numbers, things like that. We also lobby at the State House. We do a lot of work. Senator Roderick's representative is here, and he's a staunch advocate for the cranberry industry. We're happy to have these great relationships at the State House. And we also do community outreach like this. I think it's important. We're really focused locally, talking to big growing communities and just reaching out. So we know that people who are grown and raised here know a lot about cranberries, but there's a lot of people moving into this area who may be unfamiliar with living nearby farms, and we just want to kind of educate people as much as we can. The industry in general, there are 4 other growing regions in the United States. A lot of people think it starts and stops in Massachusetts, but that's not the case. And there's also quite a bit of production in Canada. So probably until the mid-90s, we were by and large the world's leading producer, and then Wisconsin kind of overtook us. And we were neck and neck with Quebec until probably the mid-2010s. At which point their Canadian government put a lot of money behind the Quebec growing region, and they expanded, and they're now the #2 world producer. This is a good representation of what the differences are. The picture on the right says Quebec, and it is, but it's also representative of what it looks like in Wisconsin. And they call their bogs, they call them marshes. So they're man-made, they're squared off, rectangular, they're very efficient, and if you were to own a farm, you would walk out your back door and your farm would be all right there. Whereas in Massachusetts, I call them amoeba-shaped, but they're natural to the contours of the earth, slightly less efficient in terms of being able to maybe harvest 2 at once and things like that. There's also different pest pressures, different varieties are being grown in the different areas, and here our farmers may have property in many different towns. Their equipment needs to be road legal, so that's a concern, a thing that they have to consider, whereas that's not something that they deal with in other regions. And then of course Massachusetts, the cost of doing business here, mostly in probably any industry, is extremely high, but particularly in ag. The labor costs, transportation costs are very high, so we are up against it, but still doing well. It's the last slide said we're around 2 million barrels, and a barrel is 100 pounds. So around 200 million pounds of cranberries a year come out of Massachusetts. We are the #1 food crop in Massachusetts. We have significant, historical and cultural impact, but we have 11,500 producing acres, all concentrated in southeastern Mass. Now, for every acre of producing bog, there's 3 to 5 acres of uplands, so open space. And so you combine the producing bogs and that upland area, you're talking about 60,000 acres of open space that is protected by the industry that could otherwise be developed. So our growers are stewards of the land and always have been, and really take pride in that fact. Massachusetts is home to the largest grower in the world with 2,000 some odd acres, but our average farm size is around 15 to 20. It's these small family farms. Some of them are 100 plus years old, and most are multi-generational. We're talking 4th, 5th, 6th generation. There's an 8th generation grower on Cape Cod. Like I said, it's a cultural thing. It's not just a job to these folks. It's very familial. But it is an aging workforce. It is across ag in general. It is aging, and one of our priorities is to try to do workforce development and kind of expose the industry to younger generations in any way that we can. There was a economic impact study that was done in 2023 by Farm Credit East, and the long and short of it is that all the various things that the industry touches, we provide contribute $1.7 billion to the Massachusetts economy and almost 6,400 jobs. So big impact culturally, historically, and economically to the state. I've got this slide in here mostly to talk about the people. My personal feelings about probably farmers in general, but I have experience with cranberry farmers. They are salt of the earth, the hardest working. They are such a good community, especially in Massachusetts. They help each other, they share equipment, they share knowledge. The big manufacturers don't make cranberry-specific equipment. While we're a big industry here, we're nothing compared to corn, cotton, soy. We're very small. So these folks have had to innovate over the years and kind of combine equipment and see what will work. If it's a tobacco planter or a strawberry planter, it works for them, and share this kind of knowledge and innovation with one another to stay on top of things and keep moving forward and keep being as efficient as they can be. So cranberry farming has, or ag in general, but cranberry farming has a lot of oversight. This is not an all-inclusive list, but probably the two main areas of oversight would be from MDR and from the DEP in terms of wetlands and water, and then any chemicals that are being used. There's plenty of oversight, and that is something that we educate our growers about to keep everyone, safe and doing, being compliant. So Senator Rodriguez is also on the Board of Oversight of the UMass Cranberry Station, as well as Representative Worrell. We could not really exist without this station. It's an outpost of UMass Amherst. They do a ton of research specific to cranberry. They run workshops. They're putting out chart books and best management guides and production guides to keep up with all of the changes in environments, and even, there's different regulations, different maybe chemical allowances and things like that. They're studying all different facets of growing, and we really work closely with them. Our growers look towards them for the proper guidance to be able to farm effectively. And the station has been around a very long time as well, not as long as we have, but since the early 1900s. It's a beautiful facility. It's in Wareham. So the cranberry bog system itself, apart from being a beautiful bucolic site, it does provide environmental benefits. The nature of the wetlands bogs, because they are designed to hold the flood, they actually recharge more water than if it was to just be a regular wetlands area. As well as that open space that I mentioned is a habitat for a variety of plants and animals and pollinators, and so we like to say, and it is true, that the growers really are environmental stewards. The land is their life, and they do what they can to maintain it in a responsible way. This is to show the cranberry plant cycle is actually 16 months long. So right now, next year's bud is on the plant. So the berries will form that will be harvested in this October, but the bud is there for next year's crop. And so while the cycle goes and the plant will become dormant in the after harvest and throughout the winter, that bud is there, and so the plants do need protection. And so that kind of leads us to this year-round work. Everyone knows harvest. It's iconic. It's so great to see, and if you're able to get in the water, isn't that so fun? But it's hard work. It's year-round work. We're currently in the thick of cranberry blossom season. The pollinators are at work. A lot of farms will rent bees, so there's a commercial bee industry, and you'll rent them to kind of supplement the native pollinators. That's pretty critical in terms of getting a proper fruit set. If they don't, this is arguably the most important time right now, the next month or so. If you don't get a proper fruit set, well, what's there to harvest? And so there's lots of activities happening in each and every season. Of note, beyond harvest would be frost protection. Like I said, that bud is on the plant there throughout the winter. So when the plant comes out of dormancy, if they don't protect for frost appropriately, they can lose their entire crop in a matter of 20 minutes. I mean, you have to think that the temperature at bog level is a good 10 to 15 degrees cooler than, at where we would be. And so frost protection involves turning on your irrigation system to sort of coat the vines and have them almost like a little igloo to protect the plant. It's super critical. These guys will stay up all night to make sure. There's a lot of research being done on weather patterns. They do have systems. Back in the day, you'd have to just throw on your system all night long, but now they have ones that cycle on and off, to 1 or 2 degrees, when it kicks on, when the weather drops to a certain temperature. So that's really interesting, but it's a very, very important part of this whole process. Of course, most people are familiar with the image on the left, the wet harvest, those classic Ocean Spray commercials of the folks in the water. But dry harvesting is also a way to get the fruit off the vine. It is the only way to do fresh fruit. Fresh fruit is a very small portion of the industry. It's maybe 3 to 5% of the overall industry, but you need it to be extremely dry, and you need to do it with these machines that are shown here. It's very laborious, and it takes so much more time as compared to the wet method, which is going to be your juice, your sauce, and your dried. Those will just go into the truck and go straight to processing facilities. So water and sand are the two most important natural resources to cranberries. You will not be growing cranberries without those two things. The water use is regulated by Mass DEP. So for irrigation, which would be a very critical time, the cranberries need about 1 inch of water per week through the growing season. And if it's not coming through rain, they'll use their irrigation systems. As much as the crop needs to be protected from hot frost, the very, very cold, there's also heat protection. So the plant can get scalded, the berries can get scalded. So when we have these heat waves, they're really paying attention and protecting for that as well. Late water is a practice that's done in the spring. You can put water on for about a month. It will, after the vines come out of dormancy, it will help to suppress weeds and insects. If you have the water, if you're able to do it, it is a method that was very popular many years ago and is kind of coming back as like an alternative way to deal with those things. And then of course flooding is used for harvest. It's also used in the wintertime, which I'll talk about in a minute. Another water use that's becoming more and more prevalent, if you have the space on your farm and you're able to put in a tailwater recovery pond, what that does is keeps all of your water on farm, keeps everything in a closed loop system. There are environmental benefits, there's more water conservation. Not everyone has the resources to do this project, and not everyone has the space, but you would put in a pond that's appropriately sized to your farm. It would be part of your overall farm plan. But you will see some more of these maybe popping up as budgets and plans allow. So sand, not everyone is aware, but the cranberry plant actually grows in sand. It takes up root in a layer of sand. In fact, the industry was started in the early 1800s as Captain Henry Hall noticed that the berries would grow better and more of them when the areas where sand was sort of naturally blowing onto them. And so now, cut to 200 some odd years later, sand use is normal ag practice to apply sand to your bog every 3 to 5 years. You'll apply 1 inch or 2 of sand. It's a natural fertilizer. It's going to stimulate that upright growth, which is where the berries form. It's going to act as a natural pesticide. It covers up spores and eggs and things like that. And it improves the drainage of your bog. Because as much as water is important, the plants are also finicky and they can't be too wet. So this is always walking that line between keeping them well hydrated but not too wet that you have rot issues. So sand, the winter flood that I was talking about is a method that they will apply, they'll flood the bog, it will freeze in the winter. They can then drive trucks out and put the sand down, and when that ice melts, the sand will disperse. So it's a very efficient way to do it. This past winter was the first winter in years, probably in 10 years, that they were able to do it, that we had that consistent cold weather. So there's alternative methods. There's like a barge situation that they can use. Some folks are trying to use equipment from other industries that will like shoot it out from the side. But the ice sanding is preferred, but Mother Nature doesn't always comply with that. So chemical use can be a kind of a hot button issue, but you know, the plants are native to this area. They're familiar with the soil and the nutrients. Compared to other commodities, we don't actually have to use a lot of fertilizer, but now would be the time if you see helicopters in the area. A lot of folks utilize helicopters to apply their fertilizer. There's one company that services all the folks that want to use them, and so it's like fast and furious for the next month. They are getting it done. Alternatively, you can go out with a ground rig, like a hand crank, and so that activity is happening now, and once the fruit comes on, they'll be beyond that. Integrated pest management is widely used in the industry. So these 4 sort of boxes are 4 different tools that they will use, with chemicals being the last resort. So there's all these different methods that they're going to use to handle pests, and like I said, with chemicals being sort of that last resort. And what you see here is someone sweeping, and they will go out every week and sweep their bogs. And this is sort of where UMass Station ties in, where the research being done, they have it nailed to a science where it's like, if you have 3 of this kind of pest in your, present in your sweep, you're all right. If you have 5, you need to intervene. And they're going so far as to identify like the exact like life stage that the pest may be at, so that they can treat it. Gone are the days of, okay, well, it's July 8th, time to just spray and pray. It's not like that. It's really dialed in. It's very, there's been so much research that's being done in combination with all of these other methods to really limit the chemical use. And when we talk about pesticides, these are not being applied by helicopter. What they do is they would put them through their irrigation systems, chemigation, or they go out and do it with backpack sprayers. And the chemicals themselves have really changed in the past, say, 20 years. They are low leaching potential. They dissipate and break down with sunlight. So again, years ago, they would maybe last for days. You couldn't get into the bog. Now it's hours. It's the products are different, and this too is very highly monitored and regulated. Our growers get their pesticide license each year. They have to do continuing education and earn credits and things like that. So the last resort is this, but unfortunately there are pests that would ruin your crop, and so it's part of the normal ag practices. So moving ahead, there is a push towards renovation. We have received some really great support from people at the State House, including Senator Rodriguez, to be able to get this done. It's a way to change from these heirloom varieties to the hybrid varieties. It's a very laborious process. You have to scrape all the vines down and off, and then put in a new layer of sand and put in these new vines. However, the trade-off is that you can yield 5 times more in the same footprint. So we don't have, you're familiar with this area, we don't have the ability to just expand in the way that maybe Wisconsin and Quebec did or do. We're limited, but what we can do is try to be more efficient, get more yield out of what we're working with. And so it's a very costly process, but there are government programs and grants that can help with this. There's also the trade-off with, while you're doing this, you can try to square off these amoeba shapes as much as you can to try to help yourself. You can also laser level them. So some of these bogs might be 5 feet out of level. And so if you're able to laser level them within an inch, that's a lot less water you're having to use when you flood and things like that. And you can put in graded drainage and those pumps that I mentioned that cycle on and off. So you have an opportunity to really revamp a bog, and we're probably seeing, we still have probably 40% of farms that are still in heirloom varieties. And that's not to say that heirloom is all bad. I mean, they've stood the test of time. They've weathered these extreme climate, the trends that we're seeing, and so it's a farmer's choice of what they want to do. There's also programs we're working with Mass Audubon and Mass DER for restoration. So some maybe more environmentally sensitive bogs that folks don't want to farm anymore, they can restore them back to wetlands. And I was naive and thought, well, you just stop farming, right? And then it just goes back to nature. But there's a lot of work that goes into it. It's a whole process. There's a lot of work. And so we're working with these agencies to try to streamline that process and just let growers know that it's an option. Some folks want to use it, they want to permanently retire out of the industry. Other folks want to just like consolidate their farm, and maybe just one bog goes out of production and they focus their time and energy on the other areas. It's an interesting program that we're just maybe in the last year or so really trying to ramp up and just educate people, let people know it's an option. But it's not to say like the industry's going away and they're all being restored. It's really not the case. It's an option. And so moving ahead, I said the average farm size is like 15 to 20 acres, but it really takes 80 acres for it to be for you to be able to live off of that full time. So these folks have to figure out how to diversify. I mean, they might have a second job, which boggles my mind because this is a lot of work. No matter the size of your farm, it's a lot of work. But some folks are trying to do other crops in their uplands. You really can't grow anything else in the wetlands bogs. It's not like other commodities where you just can switch out. It's nothing else is going to grow there, but maybe on your uplands areas you could grow something else. And alternative energy is becoming very popular. Maybe putting in solar arrays over your water bypass canals or on some of your upland property. And then agritourism is big as well. We have at least a dozen or so farms that have really booming tour programs. We do have a directory on our website, cranberries.org, if you're interested in a tour. Some let you get in the water, and some will just do year round. You can just go see what's going on. So there's a lot of interesting differences there. And then as far as opportunities, there's always room for more horticultural research, more work being done at the station to help the growers be as efficient and effective as possible. Precision ag, there's a lot of work being done with drones, and so the future there is very interesting. It's very early days, but I think that is the way that things are headed. For scouting your farm, seeing you can get an aerial view and see which sprinkler's not working, or heat using the LiDAR and heat mapping your farms, but also for applying fertilizer. It could be an option. And as I mentioned, we're trying to do a workforce development program. I was actually at Bristol Aggie this morning talking to the superintendent there and just seeing, okay, what can we do? How can we get these students to know that this is a viable industry? As I mentioned, there's almost 6,400 jobs out there. So just making people aware that where the industry is here and there are opportunities. And then we are conducting a leadership program sort of internally with our growers for that maybe younger or newer folks in the industry to just expose them and get them more involved. So that's it. I kind of ran through that quickly, but
Thank you, Karen. I learned like 10 different things I did not know.
oh, good.
I had like one question specifically. Well, you did answer my question about, how close is your relationship with Bristol, Bristol Aggie, so
Yep.
you've got that one going on. Is there, who's the main consumer of cranberries? Is it just North America?
No, there's a huge export program, so probably a third of the overall U.S. crop is exported.
Got it.
And probably a bigger portion of that is coming from Massachusetts, just due to our proximity to the European Union. The United Kingdom is a big landing spot. India, China, yeah, there's
Is it mostly for foodstuffs, or is it for like coloring things too?
Oh, no, it would be for food.
Okay.
Then South America is a big juice market. Yeah, so there's a robust export market. And so, when, not to get too deep into this, but the trade situation can be really, the farmers will eventually feel the effect of that.
Rest of the board, any questions?
And you do an annual event at the State House as well, don't you?
The Ag Day?
Yeah.
We participate, yes. We don't run it or anything, but we definitely participate at that, yeah.
Yeah,
it's
I had
in
the
March.
privilege, a couple of years ago, when I was up at the State House, and, they said, make sure you go in and check it out. So, all these people I knew from,
Yeah.
Cranberry Country.
It's
so.
a fabulous event. It's all different commodities and just food-related organizations. It is a very terrific event. And then the FFA students are there and it's celebrated. It's a very, early March, I think, is when it is, yeah.
Very near and dear to my heart as a former grower myself. And the Corponon brothers from Middleborough took a chance on me when I was a kid and gave me my first full-time job.
Yeah.
So I love the industry itself.
That's great.
Yeah.
The Ag
Oh,
Council.
thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah,
I really
you.
appreciate this.
The Ag Council is here too. Does anyone want to say anything from?
I want to invite just Rep. Oil or.
Absolutely. You got an open seat, come on up.
Well, I just want to thank Cape Cod Cranberry Growers for doing this and making these rounds. As she mentioned, Senator Rodericks and I are the co-chairs of the Cranberry Station Oversight Board. So Lakeville has the privilege of having being the only community in the Commonwealth with those two positions. So it means a lot to the senator and myself what this industry means to the region. It does employ a lot of people. There's a lot of confusion, and I think that's what's great about this. A lot of new folks that have moved into Lakeville or the surrounding area, which is why this is important to go out and educate. It's funny how I'll talk to someone just even, outside of Boston, and they've never seen a cranberry bog. So when they move down here, they get confused. What's this helicopter? You'll see on Facebook.
It's on
This
Facebook.
helicopter, yeah. So I think it's great that Karen's here to do this work. And so we're here. We're always here to support the industry and the growers and agriculture in general. Both the Senator and I, all kinds of agriculture are on our radar all the time. So
Yep, when you grow up in the area, you take it for granted because you just
You
see
do.
it, it's part of the fabric of
Correct,
the
yep.
towns that you grow up in, and then you see people working in it, and it's obviously beautiful and all that, but the hard work that goes into it is, it's amazing when I watch all of the sanding, and I did see sanding this year for the first time in a long time. And yeah, the flooding, and it's beautiful. And everyone gets opportunities to take those gorgeous pictures that really illustrate just an absolute beauty of our little slice of
I
Massachusetts.
highly recommend people take advantage of going onto the website, it's Cranberry.
Cranberries.org.
And booking a tour,
Yeah.
finding someone to do it, especially in the fall, but even if you have some visitors from out of town that want to just know about what goes on in our region, it's very unique. And
We should invite you to any events that we have, like, any type of winter events or festivals or anything we have,
Yeah,
just
we're
to help get the word out and continue to perpetuate.
That sounds great.
I just had one last thing. Was there a blog, I'm not sure if you were involved in it, the organization that was put together down in Disney, in Florida?
I don't know. I would, if I had to guess, I'd say that was Ocean Spray, that they put like a traveling bog. I've seen them do it elsewhere, so I would think that.
They have one at Gillette too.
Well, they have an actual bog behind Bass Pro Shop.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm just getting the word out that, that's great.
Thank you very much.
Just real quick for me, Representative, thank you, and Karen, thank you for the great detailed presentation. The Senator just apologizes he couldn't be here tonight. He has a conflict, but he certainly has been involved in the industry for many, many years. And we talked earlier, and he commented that I think he just passed his 7th state budget as Chair of Ways and Means, and the word cranberry has been in it every year, and he holds that close to his heart. So, sir, thank you for having me, and appreciate the time. Great job,
We
Karen.
feel lucky to have so much attention on a local issue. So, yeah.
All right.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Much appreciated. All right, agenda item number 6, we're gonna meet with CJ Smith and Molly Smith from Schoolie Mitchell.
Bring a second chair up if you want. You can bring a second chair up if you want.
Bring a second chair?
Thank you for attending today, and thank you for reaching out. This board is always looking for an opportunity to save, so we'd love to hear more about your initiatives to help save us some of our money.
Yeah, of course. Well, I'm CJ Smith, and this is Molly Smith, obviously. I'm involved in the local community, work with the West Bridgewater Food Pantry, and then an ambassador with the Cranberry Chamber of Commerce. So it was cool to see the Cranberry presentation today. But we like working with towns, so we like to give back to our local community and find ways to support and help you guys add to your budget. Obviously, it's always a constraint within towns. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to share some more about what we do. So the first page here. We are the cost reduction experts. Schoolie Mitchell is one of the largest cost reduction firms in North America. We have $1 billion in documented savings with over 30,000 clients total within our organization. We are vendor agnostic, so we get no residuals or kickbacks from any particular vendors. We maintain relationships with these vendors to enhance services and pricing. On average, we find about 28% savings within our respective categories. 80% of the time, there's no vendor change occurs. It's especially helpful when it comes to like RFP and not having to worry about compliance issues within towns. Analysts complete entirely on a contingency basis, so unless we find you savings, do we actually get paid. Fees are self-funded from the savings created for you. You share the savings directly improves to your budget. Results tracked every quarter, so we'll do quarterly audits to ensure those prices stay down and oftentimes even find additional savings within those services. And you take no risk, we either save you money or there's no fee for service. So the value chart here, this shows how internally managed costs are, so this is what you guys are currently doing. Obviously you have knowledge of the costs, knowledge of market alternatives, independently evaluate marketplace options, and then you're motivated to keep those prices down, add to that budget. Vendor managed costs, obviously they know their pricing, they aren't outsourcing, they aren't trying to get rid of themselves, so they're not going to be searching for that. And then Schoolie Mitchell, we know the current costs, we have national benchmarking data, we do R&D focused exclusivity on rapid marketplace changes, so we're constantly doing research on those things. We have the time to review cost summarizations and recommendations, time to audit invoices regularly, so there's quarterly audits. And we have direct access to vendor. Doing this with many towns before, we have direct access to current rates, better rates, and pre-negotiated rates that we can oftentimes implement quickly and effectively for you guys as well. And access to over 300 consultants to really bring a powerful team of people behind that service. So how we engage with us, step 1 would be signed service agreement. It's just pretending that we're working together. Signed letter of authorization. This gives us access to call your current vendors, negotiate on your behalf, and then bring those recommendations to you. Current invoices, that would include current invoices, expense accounts, and online access. Look at the information. Step 2, once our experts dig into your information, we will keep you informed on the process and prepared our analysis. This will likely require a few short phone calls to ensure we have everything we need, but not anything crazy for upfront work, very minimal on your hands. Step 3, after our thorough review, we will find our savings and we'll present that to you in a value report. So showing what we find, because of RFP, obviously, you guys have to worry about either outsourcing multiple quotes or taking the best quote. So we can either source one and just negotiate with your current vendor, or if you guys want to do a full analysis and look at every marketplace option, We can come up with 3 different options for you to look at with your vendors, and we've done this before, so our analysis team knows how to stay within all the compliance rules and laws that come with the town. And then once approved with those recommendations, upon you guys' approval, we'll help you implement and make sure everything's a smooth transition, or if we're not changing vendors, that everything gets implemented smoothly and the cost is implemented right in. And then where we can solve. So telecommunication, that's not limited just to phone lines. It includes VoIP systems, hardline, cellular, wireless, cable, so like TVs even within buildings. Waste, it's pretty obvious, anything to do with trash, compressed gases, electronic lodging devices, so any town vehicles that you might be tracking miles, gas on, things of that nature, less than truckload shipping, facility supplies, the cleaning supplies, packaging and shipping supplies, fuel, if you're using any sort of fuel card from town vehicles, merchant services, if you're charging credit card through the town buildings for any expenses within the town, small package shipping, software as a service, so town emails, video calling, those types of services, uniforms and linens, so uniforms and like the police, the fire, janitorial staffs, any school staff that could be having uniforms, office supplies, break room supplies, and then utilities, so we help with electric and gas as well within town buildings. Success stories, I was just going to review 2 real quick, and if you have any questions about other ones, please feel free to ask. So we had a 52% cost reduction in waste disposal fees for a municipality. Then we also found about $30,000 in annual savings for a telecommunication expense for a municipality. So this is money that goes right back to your budget to allow you guys to pay for more within the town that you want to get done. Testimonial, we engaged, so this is a township client. We engaged with Schooley Mitchell to conduct an independent audit of our telecom services for cost savings opportunities. We were incredibly pleased to see a 46% yearly reduction in our telecom spend with absolutely no vendor change in vendors. No time investment was required from us other than providing copies of our bills and a meeting to review the findings. We highly recommend Schooley Mitchell to any town, municipality, township looking to lower their expenses. And then how we're paid, I touched upon this a little bit earlier, but if there's no savings, there's no fee. Pay for results, if your client elects to implement our recommendations, our only fees are a portion of the shared savings for a limited time. That's a 4-year, and then we do a 50-50 split contract, so our 50% covers us, our whole analysis team that does all the back-end research, comes up with the value report and all the information collecting, and then obviously your 50% goes back to whatever you want to put it towards. Client decision and authority, full transparency on our calculations. The client always retains the go or no-go decision regarding our recommendations. So if we come to you and show you what we have and you don't like those recommendations, you're allowed to tell us you don't want to move forward at the end of that. And then if there's any questions, we'd love to answer them.
I will open it up.
So I became aware of your firm through a member of our finance committee brought your firm to our attention. So the public is aware, pass along, and you're aware to pass along that information to the school department. They are exploring it now as we speak. But I did do some research, looked up, did some basic searches and stuff like that. So it appears to be a nationwide reputable company. My only request would be, can you provide, give us some other communities of similar size to Lakeville in maybe southeastern Mass or eastern Mass, where we could reach out, just do a due diligence. Yeah, say, hey, what was your experience? Worth it? Is that something you could provide us?
Yeah, I can definitely reach out, make some phone calls to some of those other companies and see, or not companies, other municipalities, and see who would be open to having a conversation with you guys, for sure.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Yep.
So I do see plainly here some areas that we could probably, right off the bat, take a look at. One of them is the software as service.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and then uniforms and linens and utilities, and then merchant services. But Andrew, I'd obviously defer to you to see where we need to have a deeper dive, and some areas that we could probably realize some decent savings in order to make sure we're maximizing taxpayer dollars. Member Carboni, did you have some comments or questions?
So how long has this company been around for?
Yep, so the company's been around for about 25 years now. They started in 2000, so 25 years of experience within the industry, and then 30,000 clients over that time, so built a real reputation with helping people find savings and creating a lot of data to back that information as well.
Privately held company?
Yes, privately held company.
Member Hunt, anything for you?
No, nothing for me.
Do you have any state contracts, like any sort of cooperatives where we can just like sign up with you guys? My only, not concern would be like we can't just like sign without going through the formal
Mhm.
kind of procurement process.
Yeah.
Also the workaround is state contracts and other cooperatives.
Yeah,
So
if
do
you're
you
on
mean-
the state bid list, then,
Yeah. So do you guys mean for like the vendors itself or for our actual company?
Yeah, so like, let's say you saved us 30,000, or you would get 15,000, that would be over the $10,000 threshold. So we'd have to get multiple quotes to do the service.
the chapter
30B.
30B, supplies and services.
Right.
Oh, so you mean for like our physical service, can you quote it out to other people? Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, like a lot of big companies are on state contracts where we could just go to you guys and you can like sign up with us.
Yeah.
I'm sure the
That
you
is
guys
fine.
might
That's a
be.
great question. We might be already in.
If it's a big
Yeah.
national company with 30,000 clients, you very well could be. It's a good
I'll get it.
possibility.
I don't know that answer super well off the top of my
That's okay.
head.
You
We've
can-
worked with so many
You
towns
can
and
come back and
municipalities.
follow up with us.
Yeah, I'll get that answer for you
We'll
guys.
be in this meeting still because we have a lot of agenda items.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. Yes, thank you so much for having us. I know CJ
Thank
talked
you.
super fast, but trying to keep it going.
Thank you very much for coming in. I really appreciate it. I know reached out like a month and a half ago or 2 months, so it was a little bit longer than we wanted, but I'm really appreciative, and if we can work together, that would be great.
Yeah, that would be great. We'll follow up with Andrew.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good to meet you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Okay, Andrew, agenda item number 7.
Okay.
So this looks like it follows what we had spoke about last time, to a
Yeah.
certain point. I think this is a really good first pass at what we're looking for, and you did make it pretty comprehensive, as far as the goings-on right now
Right.
in town hall.
Yeah, and I figured it's easier to add on to this or
Yep.
change it than just come up with 10 different goals, and it might be different setup for each of you. I figured it'd just be easier to critique this than
Yeah.
come up with your own.
Does anyone want to talk about the format or the form first, or does everyone just want to dive into something individual?
I like the format.
I think it,
Yeah, I
I
do
think
too.
it expresses everything that we wanted, and most importantly, it got rid of some of the things that we didn't want as far as being able to really dial in the goals and not make them so general.
Right.
Like improve communications, this is how I'm improving it by the community newsletter, by, by being involved in this and all that, so.
I'd like to add probably a timeline on these,
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
so I can update this maybe monthly, quarterly
yep,
to the board.
you could throw 4 quarters in there to stop, monthly might be a bit of a drag.
Yeah, I know, it
But-
will be.
And
Yeah.
then when done, we're,
Yeah,
because it'll be a good measurement when it comes time for the evaluation to actually have the
yes.
visual.
Yes, and then we can really do what I think all reviews should be based on, and that's objective criteria. The majority of your things should be objective. We should be able to just see, the inputs, the outputs, and the outcomes, and be able to measure from there.
And we're also doing the evaluation, the other part of this.
Yep.
This is just the goal section,
Yep.
so I figured I'd come back maybe in a month and nail down these, and then nail down the other portion of it.
Yep, and then I had some time with Lacey scheduled as well, just to
Right.
have a general conversation about.
I got a little tunnel vision on some of these, so if you wanna reach out to me with any other goals, I'm sure that I'm missing, I wrote down another 5.
I just have
After
2
this.
that I had mentioned prior, and I'll just bring it back up. One of them, I think it already exists, and that's the grant tracking.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's something Christina had worked on and have that. And then the master list, for all buildings and major equipment, so we can better create our capital budgets and capital plans far in advance, so we know how old the boilers are and and their useful life cycle. And I might have missed it on the new wage and personnel study.
It's in here.
It's in here, oh, class and compensation, that's why. Yep. And that was in section, for goal 1, and then in goal number 3, a one-stop for land use sheet that all boards, committees, and commissions can refer to, because there's so much crosstalk and overlap in priority areas that sometimes we're not communicating on the same item that we already know about, or someone's already done a deep dive on. And then you touched on it, but maybe not specific, an interactive calendar for projects, timelines, and milestones. And those are really just about tracking these things internally and about, getting more data. I think a lot of this board likes self-service, and they like to be able to check in on something and look at something and be able to see the data right in front of them. Someone. Someone likes data.
Matt, and you saw I had a couple recommended technology goals too. And to your, and you reminded me, Madam Chair, to that point too. An interactive calendar. We had just tools, SharePoint tools that will do that. That we're heading slowly in that direction. Definitely a self-service where we can go in,
Yep.
get rid of these file shares that are no longer practical, and allow us to be able to go in, grab documents, and not have to keep them in email and so forth, and restricted file shares. So that's something that myself and the Technology Advisory Committee will be working on, and hoping to implement some of those with whatever can fit within our budget. Some of those items come with a cost and will be pushed off to future fiscal years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Member Carbone?
I thought this was a great, list put together, Andrew. I mean, it touched upon, everything that was running through my head. There is one thing that I know that had come up in previous select board meetings, and I don't know if this would actually be, your personal goal, but maybe it's a goal of this board. But we have a one-dimensional zoning map, and I think a lot of our municipalities do. I find it very challenging. So when you go and you look at the zoning map, so if you're looking for, okay, if this particular address, is here, where you have to kind of really expand the map, and it's not very user-friendly. So maybe there's something out there technology-wise, or maybe somebody innovative, had come up with something. But I just don't find it to be very,
I could chime in if you, if you'd like. Just
Please. Is there something that we have already?
Michelle McGeckard, Planning Board. We actually discussed doing this. The problem is that we have meets and bounds for the zoning right now, and we would need to have it by map, block, and lot instead. So that's a project that we had actually discussed with the town planner when she was here. And she actually was able to utilize someone from Bridgewater State College and the hope was to continue utilizing the students that were learning GIS to do that as a project, because it's a very intense project. So it's definitely not something that is just a quick one and done sort of thing.
Right.
It's something that Planning Board has looked into, and it's very time consuming. And we are on the same goal as is to get that on the GIS
All right, good,
as like
good.
an overlay,
Yeah.
but it's just a matter of getting that done.
awesome.
Meets and bounds.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm just thinking of, economic development, when people are looking to come in and,
It touches everything, right? Like you hit it. You hit the nail on the head. It's like the accessibility of the information that we
Yeah.
need.
So that was just another thing, but I think that's more of a global goal.
Yeah. Member Hunt?
I just think this is the exact direction we were trying to go
Yep. It's nice and-
previously.
It's
So,
clean.
Yeah, I like it very much.
Yep, it's clean. I encourage anyone to reach out and have a discussion with Andrew if there's some clarifications on any of these points. This is pretty self-explanatory for the most part, and I think it encompasses an awful lot. My only call out is, there's a lot on here, Andrew.
Yeah, and
This is probably,
some people have said that, and someone made a good point to me. I think it was Mike. A lot of these goals, they're department goals that I take credit for.
but you're overseeing, you don't take
Yeah.
credit for.
Well-
You're a conductor in a
Yeah,
very big
right.
orchestra.
But people say I do them, and I'm like, it's really not me. It's other people.
But at the end of the day, you're the one responsible for the results, so,
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
So next steps, I guess, maybe Andrew will add the items that we just mentioned, or mentioned this evening, and then bring it back for adoption, or?
Yeah, and then we'll have a finalized document, and then at that time, we can bring back the other portion of it, which
Yeah.
would be
Yep.
the actual review, and then we'll have a voted on format and form, and then the content. Please feel free to weigh in and add anything in, but I do think this is pretty comprehensive. And I do appreciate you picking all of these things up that we've mentioned in the last 5 months. I'm like, oh, he remembered, so I was
There's
really,
probably more I'm missing.
yeah, no, I was really appreciative of how thoughtful you were in putting all those goals in. All right. Agenda item number 7. Done. 8, done. 9, discussion and possible vote to appoint Michael Ellis as finance director. As you remember, what meeting did we vote this at?
No, I'm not certain on that.
May, June, that we had
It's
had
probably
this first
April.
discussion?
About April. It was posted for April 30th, so
Okay.
I think it was probably,
So it's been a bit.
yeah.
And now is the draft contract. When's
Hi,
that?
Mike Ellis.
You were working and you weren't here early, so we couldn't take you out of order. I apologize. Is there any discussion anyone would like to have regarding this contract for the job description of finance director / town accountant?
Through you, Madam Chair.
Yes, member.
So I know we typically just have town council eyeball.
Mhm.
Have they done that already?
I didn't
I-
have town council look at this.
Okay.
No.
I mean, everything
This
looks
is the
pretty
same-
standard,
This is
but,
the same for,
It's basically to form to all the rest of them
Yeah,
that were approved
yeah.
previously.
okay.
you did change his name to Michael Ellis though, so that's good.
No, and I'll defer to the senior members, because you've seen most of these, so it looks reasonable to me, and I get the important thing, as long as it mirrors previous agreements,
Yep,
then I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
it does.
I didn't pick up on anything.
And is the one language thing that we talked about appropriated at town meeting in there?
So Mike's is one of the few job positions in the state
Got
that
it.
you can basically sign someone up for 3 years, fully
Okay,
funded, I guess, the way
all
to say
right.
it.
Then that answers my last question.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion to appoint Michael Ellis as our finance director, and adopt the conditions as presented in the agreement from July 1st, 2025 through,
June
Is it?
30, 2027.
yep, June 30th, 2027.
Seconded.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Look, aye.
Candida, aye.
Carboni, aye.
Hunt, aye.
Welcome aboard.
Don't go anywhere.
Not going anywhere.
But wait,
There's more. Agenda item number 10 is discuss and possible vote to create a conservation gift and grants account.
So we received a request late last week to set up a conservation gift and grant account. This is, it's happened a few times over the years. The reason we were setting this up was for Mr. Bob Bouchard, so that the family, I think, wants to put that on the obituary and get donations, and basically conservation will be able to use those funds for conservation purposes.
I think that's wonderful, and I'm really appreciative of the thoughtfulness of people bringing that forward.
Well, I'll make a motion to create the conservation gift and grant account.
Seconded.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
No discussion.
Hearing no discussion, roll call vote.
Well, no, I.
Candida, aye.
Carboni, aye.
Hunt, aye.
Got off easy.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Enjoy your long ride home.
2 streets?
3 clicks.
Agenda item number 11, review site plan for new fire station and possible vote on comments to send to the planning board. Who's right here in attendance, Mr. Chair. Attached to the site plans for the new fire station. The planning board will be discussing this at their July 24th meeting. Did everyone get a chance to look at these very small drawings?
These are actually bigger than what we've had before.
They are,
So thank you for that.
I had to
Tracy.
put glasses on my glasses. I had just one. I had one comment on C31.
Which is the grading, drainage, and utility plan?
That is the one, and that's about the riprap and the infiltration basin. Will that be similar and guarded off with railing, like the police station?
I don't think that
Drainage.
one's, they don't have that one.
They don't have railings around it?
Mm-mm.
On
It's
one-
on
one
the
side?
left, right?
On the,
When you're looking
on the
at the
parking
building?
lot side, on the parking lot side. Or there's a swale, and then there was another area on the police station. There's like 2 drainage areas.
That I can't answer.
Okay.
But I'm thinking of the drainage when I'm looking at the police station, it's on the left.
And then
And that's
there's
not-
And then there's drainage that goes all down where the parking meets down. And I thought we put,
It's possible, I don't know.
that's so sad, I'm questioning myself now. I wish we were at the police station right now so I could look out the window. All right, so that was my one question, just safety-wise, if we're gonna build something up and then we're having a rocky bottom.
Right.
You know, how we're protecting people that'll be going through the parks.
Madam Chair, no fencing on either side.
Got it.
Was it on the left? Or
It's
just in
on-
the back,
It's on
right?
both.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
There's one there.
Yep.
And then there.
Look at you all
I
techie
know.
over here.
Yeah, I'm done.
I know that through the conversations of the layout of the fire station, it was critical to the fire chief as well, was the line of sight coming out onto 18. And based on the way that the building was going to be on that particular lot, there was a conversation and a determination, because there was a stream, and it was determined that it was not a perennial stream, it was intermittent. So therefore, we were able to change the location or the closer to 18, so the visibility is very clear with coming on and off the site. So if it was determined a perennial stream, then this would have been back a little bit further, causing a little bit less visibility coming onto the street. So that was always a concern of mine, is the visibility, and it has been clearly addressed through these plans.
You would be closer to this than I. Is it still true that the state does provide a traffic signal for fire stations?
Not that I'm aware.
Living in the
But if there's money to be had.
1990s. Living in the
Madam
1990s here?
I know none of Middleborough's 3 stations have a traffic signal. The downtown one has the big X in front of where the station comes out so that people aren't supposed to
Doesn't have
idle there.
Doesn't have the blinking red,
No.
yellow?
No.
But I know that a lot of work and a lot of, you know, shifting and, you know, trying to get this all into this, you know, particular section. You know, to me, they've done, you know, a pretty good job on this. And it's in front of conservation right now, you know, for, you know, their review and sign off, and planning board, and that's kind of where we're at right now.
Are there any hotspot issues that this board should be looking at right now in this report? Anything that was,
Nothing that's come up in any of our discussions. So,
does anyone have any comments or questions?
I have nothing.
Are we voting for a recommendation, or is this just a?
It's just comments, as
Comments.
any site plan review, going back to the planning board. I think it's, you know, part of the process. I know that there's, I think, 7 or 8 different entities that weigh in
Yep.
with comments, so.
No, my only comment is I'd like to see all the comments from all the other different entities. That would be my comment.
That's easy.
Yeah.
Nothing.
No? All right. No comments besides that. Comment for information. Thank you very much. And thank you to the Fire Station Building Committee, who has been working on this for a very long time.
It's been a while.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Almost to the finish line. We are up to item number 12, discuss and possible vote on beta contract amendments for Route 79 project. Andrew, can you walk us through? We do have the note from Matt Schrute. And I say Schrute like that Dwight Schrute instead of shoot. And I can see there's additional charges and additional land taking for easements.
Essentially, very late in the process, our town council and Mass DOT basically said we had to do all this extra stuff. You saw me running around like a crazy person to get it ready for town meeting. Planning board helped out significantly with pulling hearings around for us. But all that comes with a cost that wasn't really in Beta's initial contract. You're only seeing this because I changed the procurement policy to have anything over 50,000 come back to the board for approval. This is 64,000. So I gave basically the amendment, and I gave all the bills to date,
Yep.
which is quite a bit, and then also a kind of a running tally of everything that we have kind of encumbered and due to our right-of-way easement specialist, which is AECom, and then Beta's our engineer. It leaves us basically with about 900,000 or so for the easement and the takings.
Total borrowing was 2.3, correct? for
Yeah,
that?
it's
And
2.3.
yeah, and then do we have some numbers on what the takings are going to be as a portion? Are we gonna be left short because of this additional money?
We
And,
have-
and the extraordinarily long time that it has taken compared to values in 2020 and 2021 when this was,
I think it was all prior to COVID.
oh yeah.
So that's what's making us nervous. We have the weekly coordination meetings with DOT, Beta, and AECom. We're trying to get a good
Yeah, we
idea.
used 2019 numbers to come up with the 2020 vote
Correct.
of land takings, and anyone that's looked to buy, say, anything since 2020 will see that the price of everything has gone up
Right.
significantly, but most of these were temporary easements for the existing ones, and utility easements where it's just the lines going over people's property.
Right.
But I just want to make sure if we're heading to a place where we'll need to borrow, additional, or we'll have to shore it up with additional money, that we know about it ahead of time.
Yeah, that's it's actually a question. It's a long-running question me and Frank have had, and then they're gonna have it ready. I was hoping for this Friday, but
Okay.
we'll see. I don't want to come back and borrow, just as a preference.
Yep,
I'd rather take it out at one time on it.
yep. I agree. 2.3 was a lot back in 2020.
It's huge.
Now it's not. Does anyone have any comments, questions for Andrew?
Madam Chair, so is it my interpretation correct that basically we are paying for something that maybe DOT didn't scope out originally? I'm trying to read between the lines here. Am I getting
Yeah,
that about right?
Essentially, town council told us very late that, you have to do alterations. So basically, they do all the background research, and they found out we didn't have the Harrison Ave confirmatory layout. We didn't have anything on record. That's kind of a rare thing, I guess, and DOT requires it for state
And then we have to
projects.
pay for it.
Is it our fault for not engaging council earlier? Or is it a little bit of both? Or is it mostly the state coming back and changing the rules? Or?
Sorry, council, but this is all on council
Okay.
if that is the case, because
Okay.
that stuff should have been locked up before we even went for the borrowing.
Yeah, Frank and I were shocked when we found out.
So,
Yeah.
we screwed up.
No,
Oh, council.
council.
Okay, Ooh, yes, to be technically
They're not
correct.
we. They're them.
For the record, thank you.
I don't know how it happened, but they've had different council on this project. I don't know if something slipped, but they told us very late that it was needed, and
Yeah, because we had a full binder of everything
Right.
that we needed, and it was supposed to be all encompassing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right,
Well, I'll make a motion to approve Beta's contract amendments for the Route 79 project as presented.
Seconded.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Should we just amend that motion to the dollar value?
Yes.
To the dollar, you did the dollar.
In the
value.
amount of 60, what is it, 64?
64,900.
Yeah.
There.
Amendment noted.
Seconded again.
Motion and second. Roll call.
Plug eye.
Candida, aye.
Carboni, aye.
Hunt, aye.
13, discussion and possible vote on a really happy subject, the Christmas 2025 event. I think it's really nice to parlay something as successful as last year into something bigger and better. But let's see what we can understand and come up with here for the next iteration. Thank you very much. Identify yourself for the record.
Michelle McEachern.
Susan Spieler.
Thank you both.
Yep, so we were involved with the Snow Person Jubilee last year. At that time, we actually discussed with the fire chief, who was one of the people who helped pick the winners, and we discussed maybe combining it with a parade. He was on board because the parade that he started going through town has become a yearly tradition, and it's very time consuming, so this would actually help keep it all in one area and cut down on the time away for the fire department as well. So we met with police chief, fire chief, Joanne Upham from Arts Council. We had Nancy Yates from the Historic Commission, as well as the library and everything else that she's involved in. Oh, sorry.
Lefebvre.
Nancy Lefebvre. Who did?
Yates.
Yeah, sorry, Nancy Lefebvre, too many Nancy's. And Andrew as well, as Frank, DPW director. Am I missing anybody? You and I.
what's the chart up?
Oh, she, and
right,
so then
Fox.
that was the first meeting, then this past meeting, In lieu of the police chief, we had
Captain Joyce.
Captain Joyce. Melissa Turcott from Parks was able to join us, and we've kind of hashed out a parade route that is the sort of the path of least resistance, where we're avoiding the state roads, cutting down on the number of details that are expected to be needed, so we're down to about 3 details expected. Going from in front of the DPW building, ending at Ted Williams Camp. We were hoping to have it come from Town Hall up to Ted Williams Camp, but unfortunately, the state roads and extra details, it just seemed like the consensus was that that was not a good idea, especially with being businesses and the weekend, et cetera. So, as I said, the path of least resistance was Town Road, starting on Montgomery, thank you, up and ending at Ted Williams Camp. So since my most recent notes were sent out, we have gotten some more additional feedback. We spoke with Fire Chief separately because he wasn't able to join the second meeting, and Melissa did get back to us and let us know that there is an event that day at 4 o'clock at Ted Williams at the Loon Pond Lodge. So we wouldn't be able to do a bonfire or anything down there, but we spoke to the fire chief, and he said that we don't need, as long as it's not a bonfire, as long as it's just a fire pit with marshmallows, we're okay to do that. Have just a little campfire, and actually Sue reached out to Alana with the Lions. I'm sure, Chris, you'll probably hear about this next month when you guys meet, looking to see if the Lions are willing to join us and do the fire pit, roast some marshmallows, maybe bring the popcorn. Last year we did a lot of our own goodies. We did have Dunkin' Donuts donating. We're hoping to have Dunkin' Donuts donating again, but we had so much extra, we'll probably try to scale it down to the s'mores, the popcorn, if the Lions are willing. In front of the town hall, so when the parade ends, it would be the Snow Person Jubilee right after it at the same location in front of the library.
Question, so if this was Christmas in July, I wouldn't have to ask these questions, but what about weather issues on a parade route? Like a winter parade just screams to me that that's the year we're gonna get snow and there's gonna be brown, crusty snow and ice all over the roads.
Well, I mean, we talked about a rain date for the following Sunday. I mean, just looking at the weather recently, usually the beginning of December, and I'm probably gonna jinx it by saying this, but it's typically not so bad. Yes, we'll have like a random snowstorm at Halloween or Thanksgiving, but it's been fairly warm. I mean, so far we've just thought of a rain date, but not a snow date.
Yeah.
I mean,
there are many other towns that do Christmas parades at the beginning of December as well, so.
Yeah, but they have like center of town, like,
Right,
which we don't have, where they have like the infrastructure to support people standing on the side and walking, whereas I just get concerned with safety and with, like, I don't want all this planning to go and then, have a weather event. So my concern is the parade route and the weather concern. And then my other concern is that Santa Ride is our most popular event in town by like 50 times most popular.
Although the chief did say that each year it has gotten smaller.
Has it? Because
Yeah.
it's just one of those things that,
He noticed each year it's less and less people.
yeah. Because
And-
it's something
and-
that gets a lot of publicity, and it's actually something, was it Lacey that gave us some actual numbers on what one post does compared to the Santa Ride posts, and it's not even close, it's global. And I would just worry about finding a home for that.
Right, well, that's, like I said, it was, 8 hours, I think he said, it takes for them to do that whole route. This will
Right, so
actually
this would take
condense
place.
it. Yeah,
Take place of it.
yep. But give people an option to come out and do this instead.
Right.
Board members, questions?
Madam Chair, so looking at the route, because I know it was noted, it was 22-minute walk, from Ted Williams where people would start and, have to disseminate, up on, Precinct Street.
Right.
So I just see, the scale, and it's all weighted down because everybody's down at the Ted Williams end of it, and then there's just, one side of the house on the road. But open mind, I just thought of it now, just throwing it out there because it's the route I think that we're concerned with, right? We have our own road in the industrial park.
True.
And we have the transfer station, which is town-owned. Just throwing that out there, maybe there's a visual, and maybe we use Clear Pond.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I had thought of in front of the transfer station as the staging for everything, and then coming out onto 79, because that's town-owned. Then maybe go down West Orange Street, and then come on to Clear Pond and end at Clear Pond Park.
That actually seems a little safer.
Or come right back around and end at the industrial park,
Yeah.
where we started.
I mean,
So just a
we're open
thought.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I'm appreciative of, looking all through these things, you've really thought of, everything possible, and the guidelines, and it's very thoughtful and well done. But yeah, my concern is just the route
The location of the
and the
route.
way it's,
And that's fine. The only thing is, so, as you know, last year we raised money for the animal shelter. So this is just based off of donations and paying, so.
they want to see where.
DPW has been willing to, find it in their budget, fire department, the police, we have to pay for the details. So that's where, if we have to shut down more roads and when it gets to be more details, that's where the concern is we're gonna be taking away from anything that would be a donation to the animal shelter. So the more roads that have to be affected or detoured around, that's gonna lead to more details. So my only, I have no problem discussing and seeing if a better route is possible. It's just a matter of how much is it gonna cost? Because right now we're somewhere in between 1500 to 2,000. So that's the main problem, is if it has to get any more costly, we may not move forward
Unless we
with it.
get corporate donors or something.
And it's only something that time will tell if, once we get this out to people and see what the interest level is to determine.
Did you do that, or did you throw a survey out to?
No, just word of
Word of
mouth,
mouth.
really.
I mean, any person that I've mentioned it to, they're like, oh my God, that would be amazing.
Yeah, no, I know our people love when we're getting together and doing stuff, and I'd love to support that. But as safe as possible. I wish there was no event at Clear Pond that day. That would be, you could,
That's at the,
Oh, you mean Ted
I
Williams?
mean, no,
Oh,
at
yeah.
that Loon
Loon
Pond
Pond,
Farm.
I know.
It could be a march all around the park. That could be a,
Well, we were hoping to have, floats and fire vehicles and different businesses in town that want to have a truck or something in there. So a lot of it would be not so much foot traffic in the parade as much as, a lot of, probably
The
more
select
ride
board
on.
could have their own float.
You guys
yeah,
could-
no. I
Well, we know
I
how
thought it would be a
Lorraine likes
winter
to
dunk
decorate.
tank, no? A winter dunk tank? No.
you can sit on the dunk tank.
Make your money back.
Be a fire pit.
Yes.
Jump in the fire
But
pit.
so at this point, are you saying you're not in favor of the parade because of the route location? Or what is the consensus?
I will let the rest of the board have conversation too. I don't want to dominate this conversation, my thoughts.
Did you think anything more of my parade route suggestion? Stage here, and then going to Ted Williams, come back.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
It's not very far. though.
it's not very
It's
far.
not, but it's, I don't know.
Safe?
It's safer, it's less costly, it's built into something bigger.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I'd like to do it
I know.
so that the Snow Person Jubilee is still part of it. That's why, keeping to this sort of location. But if we have to, we were even gonna, do the Jubilee announcements at Ted Williams Camp if we were gonna hold it there. So I guess as long as we have a sort of area where
An end
people could
spot.
congregate, could do it somewhere else, but it's just a matter of, if this isn't where, then where do you want to see it?
I mean, it's too bad that we can't start from here and go past the library at the lights and come around the backside, but then you're involved in state roads.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
What's their take on the state road thing? Like, who do we even talk to on something like that?
It'd be Mass DOT.
Yeah, I don't think
They don't
do
typically like,
anything.
Yeah.
But as long as they are not impacted, they don't really care. I mean, look at the intersection.
Well, Madam Chair, they run triathlons on state roads
Yep.
in town
That's-
that are a tremendous impact
Yeah.
on everything.
Yeah, as opposed to,
You know, as opposed to
20
as
minutes.
opposed to a brief parade, you know, are we talking a 30-minute route altogether from the time we shut a section of road down to the time the road is open? Are we talking about?
Maybe an hour.
Probably like an hour and a half,
Right.
I'd say,
That's
because
still
we're
less
asking people to get there a
impactful
half hour
than-
early,
than
and
any
then,
road races.
Yeah,
Right.
correct. I do like the thought of the town road up through the industrial park. However, there are businesses in there that run
Right.
7 days a week.
So that could be different.
You know, so that's difficult. Clear Pond is a beautiful location, but it's kind of isolated. Clear Pond Road is very narrow,
Right.
but as is Precinct Street. Precinct Street is not optimum. It would be nice to have a section of roadway that had some sidewalks and maybe end here, you know?
well, we got a DPW building instead of sidewalks.
Madam Chair,
But-
do we know this is an issue using state roads? Have we asked?
We didn't get that far because,
I only ask because Sonnet does their parade on 79. They've
But
been doing it
isn't
for
that a
years.
town road though? Because, or, I know
It's a town road
Lakeville
for
said-
us, but I don't
Right.
know that it's a town road for them.
79, I believe South Main is a town road.
Madam Chair, Middleborough does their parade on 105.
Right, they
Yeah.
do, yeah.
but do you know, is there a cost associated with this? You know,
I've
using
never
the
seen
state road?
a state police officer there
No.
or
Right.
anyone for
Right.
any of the
I don't
things. I
see
think,
details there.
yeah,
No,
and
I mean,
they don't come clean up. I've never seen a cleanup crew come and do
I did
anything.
contact Middleborough, Greg Thomas, because he does the Middleborough parade, but he hadn't gotten back to me yet. I had like a list of questions, like, you know, all these questions about 105, did you have to contact someone? But I haven't heard back from him. And
Madam Chair.
also, North Middleborough parade, they cross 18.
Yes,
Yeah.
they do. They're up by Binky's,
Right.
the old
Right.
Binky's.
We would just need to apply for a parade permit from Mass
Yep.
DOT and get fire sign off, police sign off, state police
It's
in
like $50.
DOT.
I
It's
think it's like
very
$50.
easy.
So it's only $50, really?
I-
The
don't
way
know
that
if
it
there's a
sounded,
fee.
it sounded like it was too, like, excessive.
So I'm absolutely in favor of the Snowman Jubilee. I'm in favor of the Christmas parade. I'm just concerned about the route, for me personally, only speaking for
But if we
myself.
could work on
Yeah,
a route
yeah,
that would be agreeable to everyone.
yeah.
Madam Chair, an alternative, and I could take it back to the Lions, but you could either start at Town Hall
Go to Lions.
and go to the Lions Club, because you're going down, everybody knows there's sidewalks on
It's a real sidewalk.
most of that,
Yeah,
right?
Right.
Or start down there and end at Town Hall, whatever you want, but that's an alternative too.
Or I wonder if like the old library, instead of town hall, like, cause that shuts off a different
Yep.
street, but if we stayed to 105, like
End
if
at the library.
Is that
I-
long enough of a
I-
route?
from, I don't know what it is actually,
Or
from,
from the Lions to the
Yeah.
library?
2 miles.
so the route that we were looking at was one.
Sounds
Plymouth
nice.
does 2 miles,
No.
Bridgewater does 1 mile.
What is it?
it's a, distance isn't as long as you think.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
runner.
not
When
too
you're at-
Okay,
miles.
runner.
Yeah, maybe.
I bet it's about a mile,
Maybe a mile.
yeah.
Is that mile? Is that,
I think that's
It's a good distance.
preferable.
yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, can we explore that? And I'm good if we want to just vote the Christmas
The Jubilee.
snowman, yeah, the snowman jubilee, and then have some more
discussion,
ideas on
yeah.
that. But yeah, I think it's great. I'm really appreciative that you guys are going through it and,
I mean, at least we'd have the sidewalks on 105.
yeah, but
Right.
whatever.
But parking, I mean, where would people park? Because they usually don't want people parking on the parade route itself.
Maybe we can ask the nice people at the bowling alley.
We're gonna go that far down.
Yeah, now you're
That's
going
it, now
far
you're,
down.
we're,
They can,
Madam
unless
Chair,
you allow parking
you could
only on
use
one
Assawamsett
side.
as the staging ground like they do at the elementary school in Middleborough. It goes around, so the
Yeah.
floats will pull in, line up.
Did they,
Head
is the
out.
parking lot safe at
Oh,
Assawamsett?
Lord.
Not yet.
No, it's safe right now, yes. It's, the hole's filled.
Massive sinkhole.
So, yeah, we could have the staging area at the school.
I guess it
at
just comes
Assawamsett.
to a detour, like where did, like as long as that's a detour that's manageable.
I'd rather find it somewhere safer and, to your point, maybe a little smaller, just to put people all in one area with
Yeah,
a
if the
nice
lions don't
sidewalk
mind.
if possible.
So just a question on governance. I know last year, you had filled out a form for use of the old town hall, because that was for that, and that's what we voted on.
Right.
To support that, the use of town property for
Okay.
that. This is not, this is a private, two people coming in front of the board. This is not a town-sanctioned event.
It's not a town-sponsored.
That's
event.
right, I guess,
Yes,
sponsored.
yes.
So there's,
Liability for insurance and the form to fill out that Andrew's updating for grounds and committees and all of those things. So are you saying we can't vote until those are filled out anyways?
but I don't even know what our, if we're not, how do I say that? If it's not our parade that we're putting on,
But we would approve it just like we would do a road race.
right,
Yeah, we would approve it just like the road race, and we would approve it as a parade. The only thing that comes a little muddy is if Santa's trolling through town on a town fire truck, then it kind of crosses that quasi-town-sponsored
right.
line.
I mean, Middleborough does the same thing. though.
Yep.
But they have a committee,
There's a number of towns that do it.
right,
so-
and that's a town committee though.
No, I don't believe it's a.
It's a
Tracy, do you know?
volunteer.
It's a volunteer.
It's a volunteer committee,
Under
it's
the
not
tourism?
They might go under tourism, but it's a volunteer committee.
Yeah, it's Greg Thomas that heads it up,
Right.
that's
Yeah.
not what his
Yeah.
group's called.
That was my,
Yeah.
was the governance of
Yeah, no,
the event, so.
then I say let's get something filled out quickly, similar to the road race thing. We'd also need the insurance waiver. And then just the confirmed route and anything additional to that. And I think that would be the three pieces that we would need to vote on it, to your point.
The road race form, the insurance waiver, and then the route.
Yep, and then let us know on what any state, or if there's anything, but I honestly, I just don't know what they would require besides what Tracy had said for,
I mean, if that's all it is, then
For Mass
that
DOT.
sounds doable. It
It's,
just,
it's generally traffic and safety. It's,
and
you
if
know,
we've got that covered by,
Right, so we
Put
just
our
have
own
to shut
police.
off
Yeah.
at the lights. And then if we're ending at the Lions, just beyond that, shut, what would it be? Before Stetson Street, so they'd have to go down Stetson to get out onto 18.
just clear signage on where people are supposed to go and where they're supposed to cross, and
And then if you have in your Jubilee, excuse me, just a town property form that you
Right.
submitted last year.
thank you guys, this is great. I'm so appreciative
Oh,
of,
we've got so many people that want to volunteer, and it's,
Please do it quickly.
oh,
I know, we're
it will be
trying.
here before you know it, I know.
Well, no, you only have 28 days for me to get everything through, so
Oh,
get to it quickly.
okay,
we're hoping, because we want people to be able to start planning
right.
before the weather turns at all, too.
all right,
So
can
you
we
want those-
bring this back up for,
August 5th, probably,
is August 5th gonna be enough time for you to get everything?
I think so.
Should be.
it's a month, I think, yeah.
Michelle, I'll email everything to you.
Okay.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you, and thank you guys for sticking your necks out and doing all of this. Is it gonna be snowmen, or is it gonna be trees this year?
No,
Have
we're
you-
gonna do snowmen
You're
again.
doing snowmen?
People are already
They're already
started-
ready?
Oh, yeah, people are ready, like into it already.
I still have mine
You do.
at home. Yeah.
All right, Christmas events done.
Thank you.
14.
Thank you.
Employee Appreciation Day at Town Hall. August 28th, 2025 has been requested to be Employee Appreciation Day. Town Hall, the request here is for Town Hall to be closed at noon on August 28th for a mandatory training and team building event and Appreciation Day. I had a chance to sit down and talk to Lacey a little bit last week. I had some questions on the price for this event, how it came up with the price, what was included, how many employees there were, and the event in general. And I think the rest of the board has questions as well. So I will open it up to the rest of the board for their questions.
You asked questions that I know I had funneled the same questions to Andrew, so what were the answers?
So Lacey, 155 employees is what we were basing it on, and $20 per person
So
for
it's
up to
a-
155 employees was the answer that I got right.
So I had 118. There's
118.
90 full-time employees on our staff, and then there are 28 part-time.
And was $20 per person the right?
It's
one?
about $20 per person.
And it was hot dogs, hamburgers, and.
So it's hot dogs, hamburgers, chicken, and barbecue ribs. And then it has the watermelon and cornbread. It's fully catered, comes with all of the, plates they do, the setup, the cleanup. So it's like A to Z. And then also included in the cost, I was looking at like something, like a little recognition for people with 10, 20, 30, and then we have a person that actually is celebrating 50 years. So definitely want to do that recognition at this as well.
And our gifts and grants budget is at $9,000 approximately,
So,
It's about 10.5.
yeah.
about 10.5.
Yeah.
So those were my questions.
I just, and this isn't not through you, Madam Chair, not, as a derogatory, but all what you just said here in a meeting would have been very helpful in this letter to the board. Because of all those questions I asked, and I know I took Andrew's time, asking, some of those questions too. But that, it would have been helpful, just going forward, anticipate the questions. I think,
Break it down. Yep.
Break it down. Yeah. Yeah. But this is a long time coming.
Yes, we've been hoping this would happen. I know it didn't materialize last year, and I know how important it is to make sure we're reaching out to our employees
Yeah.
and tell them how much we value them.
Yeah.
And it's something that it's important enough to be on Andrew's list to make sure that that's part of the culture and the everyday. So.
Yeah, it's nice to do one big event, but I'd like to do multiple stuff throughout the year. We're
Little
still
things.
brainstorming what that could be.
Yeah,
But
and
it's
I
the
didn't
first
see it here, but I know you had a committee. Could you shout out the committee that you worked with, or stakeholders that gave you
Yes.
your input?
So we tried to include somebody from each department. So we had Lillian Drain, the town clerk. We had Jen Jewell from the DPW. We had Jen Jones from the library. Lori Fahey from the Council on Aging. Kristen Campbell from the police, and Annette from fire.
Erica Quay.
And Erica from,
Melissa Turcotte.
oh yeah, and Melissa Turcotte. It was quite the group. So we've had 2 meetings so far. The first meeting was just kind of a very general overview of what we kind of were looking at and who to invite, because in total, the town employs 332 people. And that includes, like your detail officers and your election officials. And so we kind of had to bring that number down, which is where we came to the 118. So we kind of decided that. I would have put it in if it was something like I had right in front of me. And then we've looked at like the different catering options. So we haven't set, we have 3 different caterers that we're looking at, but the average is about $20 per person is what we're going for.
And that's,
then,
you've got the full service, the setup, the breakdown,
Yep.
the everything.
and then we talked about like the best date. So as we all know, library doesn't work on Friday. So Friday was out for us. And then working with the library and the COA, especially what events were on their calendar, and both of them could block that date off. So noontime, the intent is to bring everybody over to Loon Pond, who is giving us the venue for free. Thank you to Melissa Cherkoff for that. And then a mandatory training, which is actually a team building. I don't want to give it away because I know everybody will Google it so that they already know what it's going to be, but it'll be a pretty fun event. And then we roll right into the luncheon and recognition. And then, you know, they're pretty much released from that point, so.
So if we run this event like this every year, we'll only have 3 years worth of.
So yeah, the secondary part that we were also discussing as a group is how can we fundraise in the future? So in order to do, we're looking at, so they have like Friends of the Animal Shelter, you have Friends of the COA, you have Friends of all these different organizations. We were actually looking to organize Friends of Lakeville so that the funding could go into a pot and then be used for, you know, whatever may be. Parks doesn't have one, so it could, you know, help with like parks, and it could help with employee appreciation. Because, you know, the thought was, well, we'll do raffles. You can't do raffles because we're not friends, right? The only thing I could think of is setting up a kissing booth, and you can either get one from Ridley or Ollie, right? Hypoallergenic dog, or not hypoallergenic dog. Or a dunk tank, you know, you can dunk the fire chief. So,
Or the chair of the select board.
so yeah, or the chair. So that's the thing. To be a 501c3 organization, you have to have it for 2 years. So essentially, we do it this year. We get the 501c3 on the books, and then next year maybe it's a smaller event scaled down so that we're not taking that much of the funding, and then by the third party or appreciation day, we should be functional and have the ability to do the raffles and t-shirts and different things to actually get some money in the pot.
Another option could be the town budget. It was actually in my initial request to myself that I then denied. Once I started realizing kind of the financial picture, but a lot of towns do that. They add $1,000, $2,000 a year for stuff like this. It's something, I don't know, we could do, could not do.
And the townspeople actually will vote on it, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be interesting. I would rather see it, choice number 1 for gifts and grants, than any other solution. That's my personal preference, but I just worry that at this level, that we're setting ourselves up a little bit, because we couldn't afford to do it multiple times.
Right.
It would be like a sit-down dinner and then ice cream the next year. So I would just like to make sure the expectations are set, that like, this is a double year, basically, this year, because they didn't have anything
Right.
last year. And that's regrettable. But we do want to have a sustainable practice.
Yes.
So however we make that happen, whether it's through raffles and, you know, and just being judicious about that, I enjoy the suggestions on how to fund it going forward.
So we're looking at 2,360, number of 118 at $20 a person.
Plus gifts for people on
So
10-year,
it would just be
15-year.
Yeah, it would be the recognition.
Yeah.
I haven't really priced anything out yet.
Also looking at a ice cream truck.
On top of it, or
Yeah, but
just people aren't gonna be able to move, they're gonna
I was thinking potentially covering myself, but we'll see.
stop yourself.
I know,
Stop.
it's
Yep.
but it's not really all that expensive. It's only like a couple $100, so.
Does
And
anyone-
whatever's not used will go back into
It
it.
goes back in the pot if it's not used. And tell me how it works. For this, do they give you an up to number and you only pay for the people that come? Or do you pay the full amount to the caterers based on the number that you give them?
You'd pay based on the number that you give them. And I was thinking, the invitation goes for the 118 people. I'm figuring our number's probably gonna be closer to about 90, given that if you're a part-time person that's not on the schedule that day, it's not a mandated that you have to come in because we're not paying them for the hour training, but they're more than welcome to attend. So you're gonna, right there, you're gonna have some people that aren't even gonna be at work that day. And then the intent and hope is that as many of the first responders are able to attend it, but again, it's not a mandated, so speaking with them, it would be, you know, if it's the fire and they have 3 of them coming while 3 of them stay back at the station and then 3 more of them come, so it's just like a wedding, take off 10% and you're probably at about like 90, 95 people that are gonna attend it.
Madam Chair, it's just, I mean, not to be, presumptuous here, but is the select board included in that 118 count?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm expecting that I'm gonna give the select board the 10, 20, 30, 50 year recognition and hope that, you guys can kind of stand and give like a little speech and the thank you.
I was gonna make a joke about, who was alive 50 years ago, but then I realized I was. So
Yeah.
it wasn't funny anymore.
Yeah.
I think that sounds wonderful. I do think in next iterations, I'd love it if we didn't make any of the employees do any of the work, like, just
Yeah,
trying to get
Yeah.
them, but taking into consideration what they want, obviously. So I really appreciate all the work that must have gone into this, because navigating teams of people is not the same as saying, I have a vision and I want to go do this. When you
Everybody had good ideas.
Yes, when you're including other people, it just becomes bigger and
Yes.
and more people to get sign off. So I know that's a lot of work.
Agreed.
My only recommendation is that if we could amend the motion, well, I haven't made it yet, but propose to
You
note
can
that.
make it.
And propose that motion.
Yeah, oh, no, I'll defer.
That's Lorraine's job.
She's the motion queen. Just note that it's being funded through the gift in grants account.
Yep,
That's
yep,
it.
yep.
Just so for the record, people know that's
Absolutely.
coming, right, not from,
Yeah.
Right, operational money,
Correct.
yep.
Madam Chair, just a note, the title should be all town buildings, not just town hall. I put the title as town hall, but it should be all town buildings.
Ah, got it.
We plan on getting the message out as soon as possible. Well, that day being canceled, not canceled, but
Okay.
left or whatever.
All right. And no fires, no emergencies that day. Canceled. Afternoon. I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Employee Appreciation Day for town building closure at 12 p.m. on Thursday, August 28th for mandatory training and team building event with a a request amount of $3,000 to cover expenses from the Select Board Gifts account.
I think you got it all.
Seconded.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
plug eye.
Carboni, aye.
Hunt, aye.
Thank you very much. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate all the work that went into it. Agenda item 15, discussion and possible vote regarding request to use Center Stage Town Pavilion for Purple Heart Ceremony.
So moved. I'm just kidding.
Let me just read this briefly. The Town of Lakeville Purple Heart Ceremony. In partnership with the Military Order of the Purple Heart, Veteran Service Officer, retired Tech Sergeant Christine Boone, and the Lakeville Select Board invite you to attend the designation of Lakeville becoming an official Purple Heart town. We welcome all to attend this meaningful ceremony. This landmark ceremony will take place on July 30th, 2025 at 1 p.m. under the newly built gazebo behind the old townhouse. If inclement weather arrives, we will hold the ceremony inside of the old townhouse. You want to give some background on this briefly, Andrew?
Yeah, so Veterans Service Officer Christine Boone has been working to get us designated as a Purple Heart community, which essentially means we have to prove that members of our community have a Purple Heart or history of one, and I think Christine said we have 3 in our history. And so they basically, the organization comes down and presents us with a proclamation. We do an event, we invite all the dignitaries to show up to that, and then they give us signs at the very end. We put those signs around the community.
At the entrance of the community, like on 18 and 105-ish?
Right.
Okay.
So I think we're getting maybe, it's around 8 to 10 total.
Okay.
That we'll have to decide where we're gonna put them. When I read the use policy, I kind of thought we had to do like a request for town property. Kind of sounds funny, but I also wanted to just use it as like a promotion for this event. We have like an informal committee kind of planning this, and it's myself, it's Lacey, it's member Twanka, and Christine. So we're doing all the background work right now to invite all the people. I think that's pretty much it, unless you have anything else.
Can I make a motion to waive the fee?
There's a fee?
There is no fee, only for car washes, there's a
Oh,
fee.
for car wash? Oh, okay, because also
Oh, I
a
see.
$25 fee at the top. Okay. All right, I'll take a motion. Whoa, or is there one on the?
No, I'll make a motion that we approve the request to use Center Stage / Town Pavilion / Old Townhouse for the Purple Heart Ceremony scheduled for Wednesday, July 30th, 2025 at 1 p.m. with the requested time use of 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Seconded.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Plug eye.
Candida, aye.
Carboni, aye.
Hunt eye.
Very nice, very nice.
Agenda item 16, discuss and possible vote on National Campaign 2026 grant. Attached is a memo from the Human Resource Director regarding the National Fitness Campaign and information on the National Fitness Campaign. So, I see you're back.
I am back.
Come, well, talk to us about the fitness campaign.
Okay. So we have had 3 meetings now with the National Fitness Campaign. Great incentive. They give a grant, so their grant is between $30,000 and $50,000, with the point that the town will do a matching of $120,000 to $210,000. Though it's a little bit wonky when I talk to her, because the grant is within our fiscal year, but the money from the town has to be paid by December of the calendar year. So if we would have applied for the 2025 grant, we would have had to have had the money
In 2024.
well, we would have the money by December of 2025.
I need to get on our calendar.
So, yes. So we spoke with them. We're actually looking at the 2026 year. And then we also looked at, there's a grant, a park grant, that I think that we could apply for, which could potentially help cover our town costs.
Is it the park grant that we have to expend first and then they reimburse
Yes.
us? Okay, yeah, I read that same
So
one.
that grant closed July, or I think it actually closed today. So we really didn't have enough time this year to put in for that grant. So the way that it works is NFC, you know, you speak with them. You have to pick a site location, and what they do is they heat map the site location to ensure that there's enough foot traffic, that it's ADA accessible. And looking at it, they had screenshotted all of our parks in Lakeville, and Ted Williams was the one that had the highest, like, heat mapping for foot traffic and everything else. So that was kind of a first step, and I think that's where, you know, the park would get involved. And then from there, the town would have to guarantee that we would be able to match. So the 120 is more likely, there's two options. There's one where it's just the workout equipment side, and then there's one where there's a workout equipment side, and on the other side is a studio. And that's the one that's a little bit more money. On the studio side, it can go all the way up to the 210 on the town funding, because you can also put a mural. You can have like a town resident or something paint the mural on it, so that's where it becomes a little bit higher. Looking through it, the cost is based on a lot of things, so it depends on what the town could get, you know, somebody to do paving for. If you get paving for $0, it's obviously less than if you have to pay for somebody to come in and do the paving. But they're basically there to do the specs with you, get everything up and running. They do all the campaigning for you. And that's about it.
This is such a worthy endeavor in my mind, to get people out and about and have a place for them to go that they're not paying for.
Yes.
They're not having to have gym memberships for. It gets them out in the fresh air and in the community, and I would love to see this move forward.
We haven't, well, I've reached out to the parks, but we haven't, our goal was to get like a general, like, yes, this looks good. Go to the parks and say, does this look good to you? And if so, where do you want to put it in the park?
Yeah.
Because they put like 4 or 5 locations of where it could go, and I don't want to assume the best location in here, less talking to the parks. Then also, a lot of towns are starting to do this. I know
And
Somerset.
keep in mind, future state with the fire station as well, that
Right.
it'll change the landscape slightly, so there might be more
Right.
area that's accessible.
That's true. And a lot of towns are starting to do this. I think Somerset just got theirs done, and they're funding it through CPA funding, so that's an option.
And that was the option that I had hoped for the CPA funding of this, because I think it fits exactly what a good CPA project does, and it's a great use of the CPA funds.
It works out timing-wise, because we would apply this year, town meeting would hopefully approve it. We'd do it in the summer of '26, so.
And then apply for that other grant as well. To kind of
Exactly, to
cover
get a
it.
reimbursement on it once we're
And we'd
going.
like to do the double one for a couple different reasons. So the COA does a lot of like the Zumba classes.
It's just better.
And it would,
It's just
and
better.
then, you know, if the fire or the police want to do outdoor training, they
Yeah.
have like that space for it. So I think it benefits this area. And then speaking with them, well, because I was concerned about potential for like maintenance concerns, right? You know, who's responsible for that? Like, what's the upkeep of this? So everything's very durable. From what I was reading, they did give me a maintenance manual on it. It might be like a touch-up of paint, or just like making sure that a bolt is, you know, screwed down, but there was no big lift on it. So that was also a benefit to it.
One of the things I read, one of their hype pieces that they had out there that said it's basically 25 years of no touch.
Yep.
Is one of their claims, that they've really honed this in and used lots of other communities to get this going, and they've kind of perfected the utility of this structure. So there's two sides. You saw there's like a, I want to say a stretch yoga type of side, and then the other activity side.
And then there's an app that you can go on, and it'll give you the different workouts. You can also have somebody that becomes certified in the training of it and can go out and kind of run events and show people how to use the equipment, so.
They have one of these in the community I live in. It's always rocking.
So,
1 million people there.
where? I'm sorry.
Swansea,
Yeah, so where in Swansea is it? Is it
Memorial Park.
Memorial Park? So if anyone wants to go take a peek at Swansea Memorial Park to see what it looks like, or how it is on action on a Saturday,
They also have one at Bridgewater State,
yep.
kind of similar look to it.
Is it over near the stadium?
No, it's right in the middle where the old parking lot used to be, right next to the
Oh.
train bridge,
Okay,
to the center campus, right in there.
okay, yeah.
And the equipment tends to weather well?
I asked that question as well, because I figured, oh, they started in California, and I was, afraid because we get winter and they really don't. But yes, it is built to last. They gave us a map of all of the communities that have it.
Yeah.
And there are some local ones that have had it for years and haven't had any issues with it. So the only thing they said is they added on an awning in 2025. It's a new feature. They just say to you, if you are gonna do the awning, then when it comes to like the winter months, just like you would do in your own yard,
Take
you
it
take
out.
the awning
Yeah.
down for the winter.
Yeah, it's like a cooler room.
All right, so
Madam Chair, so what are we voting for specifically tonight?
This vote seems to be just to have Andrew start exploring it with our Parks Committee and get all the timeline down and move forward, because it would still have to go to be on a warrant. And hopefully CPA
Yeah, so
funded.
I think they want like a general answer in August, like a general like, are we interested in doing this? So that gives us time to talk to the parks, and then obviously the CPA applications start rolling, I think, November, December.
That's contingent on the
town meeting.
CPC
Approving the
approving
project.
it, and then it has to go before town vote.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, so I guess the point is that I obviously would not support funding this through operational budget, but I'm okay if, obviously, there's grants or CPA. Right, there's no discussion of pulling this out of the, squeeze it out of the operational budget.
That wasn't our intention, no.
Nope. I think it should be CPA funded, and then hopefully for the
Parks grant.
Parks grant, we
Okay.
could get a reimbursement for
Okay.
at least a portion of that funding.
Yeah.
Because that is a significant investment, and that is exactly what that grant is designed to encourage,
Yes.
is the investment. So would the vote be to
I don't even know that,
We'd have
we
to
just
do
have
that.
to like nod and say.
nod? We're nodding. I
Yeah,
think-
just a general
Consensus.
feedback.
I think we'd all like to see this come to fruition.
Is there any questions that you have for NFC that we can ask them? They asked us last time, we told them we were coming before the select board. Is there anything specific that you guys want to know from them?
I know everything I need to so far.
Okay.
I can send you an email if I
Think of something?
That's good.
yeah, thank you.
Okay, bye again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone need to take a break? Do we want to take a 5-minute break? Let's go. All right. Item 17, discuss possible vote, request for library director declare equipment as surplus. I believe the library director reached out to all various people in town to make sure no one could use any of this equipment, and nobody wanted it. It's on its last leg, is my understanding for most of this. So this vote is to declare this surplus. Any further details, Andrew?
No.
No?
I think just for the record, I'll make a motion to approve the request from the library director to declare the following equipment as surplus. A study desk, metal shelving, metal spinning rack, 2 broken vacuum carpet cleaners. Yeah, because those they take up space. Under technology, 9 used USB keyboards, 8 used wired USB mice, and 4 new iMicro used USB mice.
Did I get a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Look, aye.
Candida, aye.
Carboni, aye.
Hunt. Apologies. Madam Chair, I was hung up on mice.
You have a mice issue?
No, it was just,
Mice.
should it be mouses?
Mises?
Yeah.
Mises? Meissen? Mice, goose. Item 18, discuss and possible vote to issue warrant animal control officers. Attached is the annual warrant that's issued for animal control officers to be able to pick up dogs and hold for a 7-day quarantine period. Does anyone want to read this out aloud? I guess I will. Does anyone want the reading of this?
Can we waive?
We can waive the reading.
I will take a motion to waive the reading.
So moved.
Second?
Sir.
Roll call.
Nope.
Look, aye.
Candida, aye.
Carboni, aye.
Hunt, aye.
All right.
Well, I can make a motion to issue the warrant to the animal control officers, i.e. Dave Freites of the town of Lakeville, Jennifer Nash of the town of Middleborough, Darcy Lee of the town of Berkeley, Lisa Podolsky of the town of Lakeville, and Ronnie Freites of the town of
Rochester.
Rochester. But isn't Lisa Podolsky, is she Freetown?
I thought she was
She's the
Freetown, but
Freetown
she lives
ACO,
in
but
Lakeville.
Oh,
resides
okay,
in
but this is
Lakeville.
where she resides. Okay.
Okay, second?
Seconded.
And motion is second. Any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Look, aye.
Candida, aye.
Carboni, aye.
Hunt, aye.
Okay, we're done with page 1, everybody. Discuss and possible vote, the request for town clerk for annual appointments and election officers. We had an addendum to, a late addendum to,
Not the election
Not this one.
officers.
no, it's not this one.
And I have I found
You have
the
a
motion.
A what?
The motion.
Oh, you've got the motion?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So this is an annual,
Of election
yeah,
officers.
okay. So I make a motion to approve the appointment of the election workers as presented in the agenda document per Mass General Law, Chapter 54, Section 12, for terms to expire August 15th, 2026.
And that's the right language? You got it down?
Mm-hmm.
Well done. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Motion and a second for the appointment of election workers. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Look, aye.
Candida, aye.
Carboni, aye.
Hunt, aye.
Thank you for saving us.
You do not
20
need to read
minutes.
their addresses, just their names.
Right,
That
but
was
this
the
is-
wave.
This is the
That was the-
motion that
the
we made
waive,
last
okay,
year because it
okay.
was passed part of Mass General Law.
Okay.
Yeah, as long
Thank
as
you.
we put that in there.
Thank you for the clarity.
Thank you for not having us have to read them. 20, discuss and possible vote on annual board, committee, and commission reappointments.
Because these all expire July 31st, correct?
July 31, 2025.
Madam Chair, so there's two sets. There's one set that the appointments are 1-year appointments, and then in the rear, there are 3-year appointments. Typically, you would make a motion just to appoint the following for expiration dates of July 31st, 2026.
And then just read
and
through.
then just read through all the 1 years and then read through the 3 years.
Okay, all right.
Separate motion.
Here comes. I make a motion for 1-year renewals for the following appointments that will expire on July 31st, 2025. And be
Six.
appointed, the expiration date will be July 31, 2026. From the police department, and I'm gonna read their titles as well. Sean Robert, police officer, constable. Zach Mosier, police officer and constable. Jason Orlando, police officer and constable. Raymond Beleski, police officer and constable. Andrew Bumpus, police officer and constable. John Hutchinson, police officer and constable. Paul Hunt, special police officer. John Vickery, special police officer. Robert Stephenson, special police officer. Jesse Drain, Special Police Officer. Elton Ashley, Special Police Officer. Eric Swenson, Special Police Officer. Kristen Campbell, Matron. Robin Bellows, Matron. Karen Conway, Matron. Matthew Perkins, Keeper of the Lockup. Stephen Leno's Surveyor of Wood, Bark, Lumber, Fence Viewer, and Field Driver. That always cracks me up. The 175th Anniversary Committee. Brian Reynolds. Joan Morton. Geraldine Taylor. Delia Murphy. Nancy LaFave. Felicia Carter. Robert Barrett. Kathleen Barrett. The ADA Coordinator. Andrew Sidforth. Alternate Building Inspector. Robert Whalen Jr. Assistant Building Inspector. Brandon Maroney. Agricultural Commission. Tracy Trelevin. Associate Member. Assawamsett Pond Complex Representative. Nancy Yates. Board of Appeals, Anthony Zuko, Associate Member. Cable Television Committee, William Hogue, Kristen Howard. Capital Expenditures Committee, Barbara Minkowski from the Finance Committee Representative. Council on Aging.
Maureen, you skipped yourself.
No, she doesn't have the updated one with the red.
I don't. I just pulled it from this pile. Oh, I didn't. I lied. That was a fib. That was a fib. I lied. Hold on. Then go back to Nancy Yates, and then go to Assistant Board of Health Agents, Kevin Dismaris, Sophia DaCosta. Board of Appeals, Anthony Zuko, Associate Member. Cable Television Committee, William Hogue and Kristen Howard. Capital Expenditures Committee, Barbara Minkowski from the Finance Committee Representative, Maureen Candido from Select Board. Communication and Community Outreach Subcommittee, Lorraine Carboni. Council on Aging, Janice Kachi, alternate member. Carolyn Mullen, alternate member. Emergency Planning Committee, Michael O'Brien, Matthew Perkins, Frank Moniz, Andrew Soothforth, Greg Goodwin, Nathan Darling, Lori Fahey, Jose Invizio, Thomas Parento, Pamela Garant, Barbara Starkey. Emergency Response Coordinator, Michael O'Brien. Energy Advisory Committee, Donald Foster, Nathan Darling, Joe Chamberlain. Fire Station Building Committee, Mike O'Brien, Lorraine Carboni, Andrew Zuforth, Nathan Darling, Larry Constant, Peter Conroy, Michael McCullough, Matthew Simon, Kate Shing. Does that say GATRA delegate? Lori Fahey, Hazardous Waste Coordinator, Michael O'Brien. Historical Commission, Felicia Carter, Associate Member. Inspector of Milk, Edward Cullen. Inspector of Wires, Todd McNeil, Melio Gaza. Assistant Inspector of Wires per MGL Chapter 166, Section 32A. LakeCAM, Jonathan Watkins. Lakeville Emergency Management Agency, Michael O'Brien, Director, Pamela Garrett, Deputy Director. Oh, I didn't know that. Liaison State Ethics Commission, Lillian Drain. Master Plan Implementation Committee, Rita Garbett, Rodney Dixon, John Lynch, Andrew Soothforth, Patrick Marshall, Joseph Chamberlain, Denise Barbudo. Municipal Coordinator, Right to Know, Michael O'Brien. Municipal Hearings Officer, Matthew Perkins. NIMS Coordinator, Michael O'Brien. Old Colony Planning Council Area Agency on Aging Advisory Committee, Lori Fahey. Open Space Committee, Lynn Morley, Joan Morton, Brian Reynolds, David Zalonis, Robert Wilson. Plumbing and Gas Inspector, John Catalano. Public Health Nurse, Lori Desmaris. Rent Control Board, Maureen Candido. Lorraine Carboni, Paul Hunt, Christopher Plonka. Sealer of Weights and Measures, Kevin Duquette. Smart Growth Reporting Officer, Andrew Soothforth. Special Assistant Health Agents, James Romano, Nathan Darling. Stormwater Management Coordinator, Frank Moniz. Technology Advisory Subcommittee, Kristen Howard, Cherry Constant, James Barth, Aaron Goldrick, Wayne Sula, Stephen Lanuz, and I'm saying it wrong. Linus. Christopher Plonka, Rob McNally. Temporary Emergency Assistant Public Health Nurse, new title, Jennifer Palumbo. Town Council, KP Law. Town Hall Building Reuse Subcommittee, Maureen Candido. Tree Warden, Frank Moniz. Zoning Bylaw Review Advisory Committee, John Cabral. And that is the 1 years. Do we want to vote the 1 years now, Tracy?
Yes.
Yes. I'd like
So
a
moved.
motion. Would you like me to read it again?
No, you so moved.
Seconded.
I got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I had one item for discussion. I did not know that there was an assistant emergency. Where did it go?
Lakeville Emergency Management Agency.
Was that what it was? It was both.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
it's just a change in the title. She was formerly known as temporary public health nurse. And then Nate came back with temporary emergency assistant
No,
public
this
health
one's
nurse.
Lakeville Emergency Management Agency.
Oh,
And it's got Lima, 2 names on it. Has that always been 2 names? Did I just not
Yep.
notice last
it's
year?
always been the fire chief and the deputy.
Okay. That was my question. All right. Roll call?
Oh, block eyes.
Candida, aye.
Carboni, aye.
Hunt, aye.
And now for the 3-year renewals. The following appointments will expire July 31st, 2025. If reappointed, terms will expire July 31st, 2028. Police Department, Matthew Perkins, Chief of Police. Michelle Dwyer, Police Officer and Constable. Richard Pacheco, Police Officer and Constable. Valerie Bartholomew, Police Officer and Constable. Adam Swift, Police Officer and Constable. Alexander Malo, Police Officer and Constable. Daryl Makowitz, Police Officer and Constable. Harold Marshall, Police Officer and Constable. Agricultural Commission, Paul Hunt and Henry.
Van Lahoven.
Thank you. Board of Appeals, Christopher Sheedy, John Oliveri Jr. Board of Registrars, David Morwick. Community Preservation Committee, John Lucy, Nancy Yates, Nancy LaFave, Michelle McEachran. Are we missing one?
There are large members.
No, those are just the 3 years that expired this year.
Thank you. Conservation Commission, Joseph Chamberlain, Nancy Yates. Council on Aging, Charlene Montalon, Paula Houle, Debony. Is Debony still on that one
She
as well?
is.
Okay. Gail Dragitsovich. Sorry, Gail. Lakeville Arts Council, Rodman Fielding, Rose Kademi. Town Forest Committee, Niles Carter.
So moved.
Seconded.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Block eye.
Candida, aye.
Carboni, aye.
Hunt, aye.
Madam Chair, just to note, there are some appointments for the select boards that are not on this list because when you reorganized, you appointed yourself through 2026. So if you notice some of your names, like Lorraine's missing from Energy Advisory, it's because she's already been appointed.
Sounds good. We'll need like a full list of that.
I'm working on it
Yeah. That will
as a
be,
gift before I leave.
that will be quite the gift. Quite the gift. All right, we're moving on to item 21, discuss and possible vote to appoint Donna Guay as an associate planning board member. I did see a letter submitted, and I believe Donna is in the audience. Donna, would you like to come up and say a few words? You can sit next to Andrew and introduce yourself.
Donna Gay, I'm here with my husband.
Thank you for staying for this whole meeting.
I've been attending the planning board meetings for a while and really have become interested in their work and the work of the town. So I'm really looking forward to continuing to learn in the position of associate member, and I appreciate the planning board's recommendation. So I'm enthusiastic about continuing to attend and serving and contributing in any way that I can.
That's fantastic.
Thank
It's the
you.
best way for you to ramp up and get ready for, being in the regular role at some point. It's really an amazing education, start to finish on everything. I've watched people have very little experience and come in there and just be so incredibly knowledgeable about things and the way our town structure works and how stuff gets done in town. So it's an amazing board, and we're really happy you submitted your interest for it. Open it up for the rest of the board.
I think you're the first, because we just designated this associate planning board member.
last time? No, 2022?
A couple years
Yeah,
ago.
Yes,
but I think you're the
2022.
first candidate to be an associate member for the planning board, so, yeah. Thank you very much for,
Very good. Anyone else?
I just appreciate anybody willing to come step forward and serve the town very much. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'll take a motion.
I would make a motion to appoint Donna Gay,
Yes.
as associate planning board member with the term to expire July 31st, 2026.
Seconded.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Candido, aye.
Carboni, aye.
Hunt, aye.
Thank you, and thank you so
you.
much for attending.
Donna,
Good night. Yes.
you'll be getting a form in the mail. And
Okay.
then when you get it, you would come into the town clerk and get sworn in and get all your paperwork filled out.
All right,
Okay.
very good. I'll look forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
I am going to have a short break. So,
All right, LakeCAM 5?
LakeCAM, give us 5. And we're back. Agenda item number 22, discuss and possible vote on a revised charge for the Energy Advisory Committee. Last time we met, we had some discussions about how many people could be on the Energy Advisory Committee, and we had a conversation about it going down to 5 members from 7 to get full membership. I'd love some discussion on that and conversation from the board on their thoughts. Then we had some housekeeping issues to fix in the charge of having it as select board, building commissioners, now director of inspectional services, just some language in general that needed to be updated because it was, last time it was updated was like 2015. So I will open it up to the board for discussion. It's a big sigh, Member Carboni.
I know, I just,
You want it to be 7?
because I know that there's interest, but the letters haven't been submitted. I mean, we do have one, John Gregory,
Yeah.
and we're holding off that appointment because we were trying to figure out
Exactly.
this, so.
But we do have 2 ex officio members as well?
We don't. Who would they be?
They could be just anybody. I would think residents, but we never had, I don't think they've ever been filled.
Never.
No.
No, it's a hard, it's hard to fill.
So, we can do the 5, I guess.
You're good? Past the Carboni hurdle? Does anyone else have any comments or questions? If not, I will take a motion.
Okay, I will make a motion to adopt the revised charge for the Energy Advisory Committee as presented, from 7 members down to 5 members and strike through.
Thank you.
Seconded.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call. Candido, aye.
Carboni, aye.
Hunt, aye.
Fantastic.
And if I can, just a suggestion for maybe the next meeting, if we can appoint John Gregory
Yep, we'll put him,
on the agenda.
we'll put him on our next regularly scheduled meeting. Agenda item number 23, discuss and possible vote to appoint David Mora to Town Hall Building Reuse Subcommittee. Attached is a letter of interest, an application from Dave Mora. Dave would be the second member, and I would be the first member, so there's 2 of us now. It's very exciting. We've doubled. There's 3. Did we appoint someone last time?
Yes, we have one at-large
You're
member,
right.
Delia Murphy.
You're right.
And then we have Mr. Hunt, I
Hunt, too.
believe, and
Yes.
yourself.
I'm just in my own head.
World.
I'm in my own world.
And Andrew and Nate,
Yes, but
so.
I wasn't counting you guys, no offense.
No
We
offense,
we
David.
will
But now we
acknowledge you
can-
were the first.
Now we can meet. I am the first.
You are
I am the
You're
first.
OG.
But now we can actually meet.
Yep.
So that is exciting.
Madam Chair, what's the total membership? 5?
5,
7.
7.
We have something under new business to add finance committee to the charge.
Yes.
So that's that, and there's the planning representative, but I don't think they've appointed anyone to it yet.
So should we do the charge before we do the appointment?
We already.
Well, this one's
Do we
he's just an
have the
at-large.
charge? Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good.
So 7 total, you have 1, 2, 3 that are lady. And is Andrew a voting member? Okay, so 3, and you need 4 more.
Okay.
4 plus 3 is 7.
Are you voting?
Doesn't work.
What's that?
I think I am. I am on it,
Yeah.
but I think I'm a voting member. Yeah. Yeah, it's me, Nate, 2 select board, and then there's 3 at large.
Okay, and we have 1 at large already filled.
2.
Yes.
2 at
Well,
large.
it will be
This will be 2.
It
Oh, this is
will
number
be,
2,
yeah.
okay, so there's 1 more at large,
Yes.
and you got a
Yeah.
full committee.
Yes.
Yep, I'm thinking economic development, so.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
It's okay, we're all
It's
cooked.
okay.
We're all cooked here.
Yeah.
We're all cooked. All right, motion?
I'll make a motion to appoint David Mora to the Town Hall Building Reuse Subcommittee with a term to expire July 31st, 2026.
Seconded.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Look, aye.
Candy, do I?
Carboni, aye.
Hunt eye.
Discuss agenda item 24. Discuss and possible vote to reappoint Richard Coletti as constable. Attached is a letter for Richard Coletti requesting to be reappointed as constable for Lakeville. If reappointed, his term would expire August 12, 2026.
So moved.
Seconded.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Okay, one question.
Yep.
Do they, what's the certification process? Do they have to be certified? I see this guy is professional and constable and professional process services. I guess that's his government, so is there a certification process? Do they have to?
It's a state license.
Oh, yes,
It's a
okay,
state
okay.
certification and appointment from community to community to be able to process serve in those particular
So
towns.
the requirement is you gotta be licensed.
Correct.
Got it. And that's all vetted, I'm sure.
Yep, if the police chief says there's no issues and no,
Oh, got it.
and requests he be promoted,
Police chief does that, they
appointed,
vet.
yes.
Okay.
He has cleared him.
The wording on this, Tracy, is this supposed to be in the capacity of process server only for the
Civil,
wording?
civil server,
Only.
oh, yeah, civil purposes only, that's the
Okay, so
wording.
civil services,
Civil purposes only.
is the same as only as a process server. Yeah. Okay. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? And none? Roll call?
Okay.
How do I?
Carboni, aye.
Hunt eye.
A regrettable, oh wait, no, hold on. I'm stuck together with two.
We have an Ian Daly.
I have an Ian Daly now. Attached is a letter from Ian Daly requesting to be reappointed to constable in Lakeville. Police chief has reported no issues and requests that he be appointed for civil service only. If reappointed, his term would expire July 25, 2026.
So moved.
Seconded.
I got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Look, aye.
Candy, do I?
Carboni, aye.
Hunt eye.
And here's my regrettable. Discuss and possible vote to accept the resignation letter of Thomas Sirignano from the Cable TV Advisory Committee. Attached is a resignation letter from Thomas, and it is dated, receipt, June 30th, 2025. Very sorry to see him go, especially in a contract year. Lots of time served on this board. How long, Andrew? Do you remember?
Long time, I'm not sure how long.
9 years, maybe?
Definitely the
6
expert
years?
in town on
Yeah.
the issue.
Yeah.
We will be looking for more people to join in and be part, but as of now, thank you very much, Mr. Sirignano, and, you know, if circumstances change, please come back. I'll take a motion.
Reluctantly moved.
And a second.
Seconded.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Just that, I appreciate all the effort that Tom has put in, as a civil servant. I mean, served on the school committee and, just an active member in our town, so.
Much appreciated.
Yep.
All right, thank you, and...
Madam Chair,
Yes.
this committee does not have a quorum now to meet, so we really need 3 more people on that committee.
If no one steps up in the next couple weeks, I will put my name in.
So moved.
I got a motion in a second.
Look on.
Candida,
Carboni, aye.
Hunt eye.
Agenda item number 27, discuss and possible vote on request for Taunton Water Connection, 35 Myrick Street, Unit 1, Narrows Lane. Attached is an application to connect Taunton Water to the above property. Zero water service acceptance card has been provided from City of Taunton Water Division, as well as a septic system as-built plan.
Is this new?
3:30.
So I think we approved the one on the corner at one
This is the
point,
next
right?
one.
And then this is the next one in.
Okay, because it's not built yet, it's in the process of being built, right? So that's why we have the as-built in front of us, or?
It's
Like
a
not-
septic as-built.
Yeah.
He just provided it as plan on the board to see.
Existing dwelling, 4-bedroom.
Zero water service acceptance card is the first I've heard of that.
So does this mean that they are switching from well water to town water? These are helpful
like it.
things that should be on
It's
that
a,
form.
it's a new development.
Okay,
It's on Myrick's pretty much all the way to Kingman Street.
Next to the auction house,
Yeah,
the road that went in next to the auction house
Yeah.
across from the auto.
so I drive by down there every day, twice a day, and those houses aren't built yet, to my knowledge.
okay.
Yeah,
Well,
one
this-
has started
one
on the
says-
This one
corner.
must be
Existing
somewhat
dwelling.
built because I have a tax bill for it.
That could be for the lands, right? Maybe.
So I do have a tax bill.
Oh, right here.
And it does say existing
That's-
dwelling.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so it might be
What is it, a basement,
the 4-bedroom, existing 4-bedroom.
sod house? We can't see it. Can we get some more information on that? Just, it's hard to make these decisions without.
I do have the deed for it. Looks like it was purchased in 2024.
Are you pulling up your fancy?
I am, and that's where it is.
So it's where the empty lots are, but it is
It-
showing an existing
It is, so
dwelling.
there is a house on the corner,
Right.
so that must be,
That's the beginning of the subdivision. They must have subdivided the land in back of the house.
right, and I know they have, that's a 3 or 4 lot subdivision all told, but right across from the former auto auction, or the current auto auction under a different, whatever the name might be these days.
Because we already approved the one on the corner.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
We approved one also 2 years ago. We approved one 2 years ago. I think it was 37 Myrick Street, which is also in this development. So I think they're slowly building the house and then coming back for the connection. So, and then we have the septic plan on there because it's tied to the water service. So Nate likes to see what the septic is for the calculations of how much water we give them.
For the 330.
Yeah, 330 is the standard
Yep.
residential.
Yeah, I'd really love this form to be updated, or our internal form to be part of this process.
Madam Chair, that application comes from the city of Taunton,
Understood.
so I don't know if you want to develop our own.
No, we just need to understand what it is they're asking though, like, you know, within our own circumstances.
I mean, as we look at this, locust map, right? Where Narrows Lane goes in off of Myrick Street. As you drive down Narrows, that first house we had already approved is the blue one on the right-hand side, and this looks to be on the left-hand side. So, I'm thinking it's behind
Okay, then I had it all.
the auction house, or it is tied to somehow the auction house.
Okay. See, I was looking at it a totally different way, but you're right.
Yeah, I'm thinking,
What I'm looking at, yeah.
this is our cul-de-sac, so
Yeah.
79
It's up there.
would be right here.
Okay.
Does the board feel like they have enough information?
This is new construction?
It says,
It looks like it's existing dwelling.
The house was probably
Right.
built, I think, within the
I
last
see that.
year, so it's
we
technically.
don't know why they're asking for water. Do they have a well service, well failed?
We don't have enough information to,
I'm always curious, I
Yeah.
know we've asked this before, I'm always curious to see why.
yeah.
because it says lot 1 on Narrows Lane.
But the approximate water service pointing to that dwelling.
Box 2 cover.
Taunton Water runs all the way down 79. So when they built this new subdivision, they had to bring the pipes into the subdivision, and this is one where,
Okay, so it's new construction.
yeah, within the last year, 2 years
But
tops.
where is somebody saying that it's existing?
What
On the
is,
plan,
what,
it says EX
Yeah, but
building.
that
so
could
when,
be something
so when
approximate water
we
service,
give
yeah,
the
that
permit
comes
to
right to
the
that
auction
building.
house, what number
That's
are
where I'm
they?
getting.
I wish I could tell you, my computer's frozen, I can't get
Okay.
anything. But I have a feeling that existing house was there and they subdivided the land in the back.
Then it's gotta be tied to the auction house, because there were no homes there at
Yeah.
all. That was a subdivision originally owned, there was gonna be a single-family dwelling by Stuart Burnham. Then he ended up selling it.
Is the Route 79 project going up that far?
No.
No.
On the property address for a connection, it says 35 Myrick Street, Unit 1, 1 Narrows Lane.
You want to table this and get some more information for the next meeting? Do we need it? Is this time is of the essence for this item?
No.
Okay.
So Morris Auctions are 33 Myrick Street.
Okay.
And this one's next door.
So it's the next one in line.
And
But
is that an existing house or is that the new house?
This, I can't tell how they've subdivided this with this,
Me neither.
With this
I don't want to
little
vote
plan.
on something I'm not 100% sure
Yeah.
on.
No, absolutely not. And, you know, it's conflicting here because it says Unit 1, 1 Narrows Lane, which signifies that there's
Instead of
another unit somewhere.
Instead of project site 1 Narrows Lane?
Yeah.
You already approved the other unit. There was another unit that you guys already approved for Narrows Lane at the last meeting, I believe.
Which was determined to be new construction.
right, that
Yeah,
was,
right. Right,
that's
that
the
was
built
new.
house that we can all see,
Right.
and we can't quite put this into perspective.
Agreed. Table, I'd like to table this. Motion to table.
So moved. The
Second.
next meeting.
Yeah, next meeting. Agenda item number 28.
Move to vote.
Oh, vote.
Buckeye.
Candida.
Carboni, aye.
Hunt eye.
Scheduling meeting dates. Suggested dates for September and October, September 2nd and September 16th, October 7th and October 21st.
Because we all know that our sister commission, Conservation, is meeting at the police station the same evening we are. So this will be the opposite from what I understand.
Yes. Opposite meetings.
All right, so September 2nd. So we had said August 5th, August 19th, which we already said. So the next one in line would be September 2nd.
And the September 16th.
Yep. Okay.
Any objections? Okay, and then October 7th and October 21st?
Why do we always have it on my birthday?
Because we want to be here to celebrate.
Okay, all right.
All right.
I expect, bands, okay. I'm
That
good,
sounds
I'm good with those dates.
I am good as well. And then we should probably have a conversation next meeting about when we want to schedule the fall special. Because it's coming up.
The blink of
Coming
an
up.
eye.
Agenda item number 29, subcommittee and select board delegate updates. First is the Old Colony Regional Vote Technical Building Committee. Chris, do you have any updates for us?
We had taken July off.
Good for you. I tried to do it for us. Didn't work.
But next meeting, first week of August, I believe.
Okay.
Anyway, we are going to have a final price quote,
Okay.
or whatever they call it, that we're going to review and vote on, and that will be the amount that's going to go before the vote.
And then there'll be significant outreach after.
Oh,
that
absolutely.
vote.
Yeah, they're already planning that. Yeah.
Okay. Fire Station Building Committee, Member Copeland?
Okay, so we already have somewhat of an update this evening. So the plan has gone out to boards and committee, for, the process. So that's out there. Our next scheduled meeting is Wednesday, August 27th. And the reason why it's that far out is because the big packages are going out. And they will have, information, to come back and.
Any sense on what's going on in the local atmosphere, high, low?
Just based on the last conversation that we had, that there's been, other projects that have had a lot of interest. So they're anticipating that there'll be, this project is very well received. They've already had some inquiries about the process dates and so forth, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
And back over here, Member Plonka?
Yep, we had our first meetings, well, I guess first meeting since our April meeting. I was appointed chair. Bob Nadali was appointed vice chair. And the meeting was basically kind of reset since we did not meet since April. So we kind of reset, discuss some objectives, more again to get to know each other again once again because it's been a while. And then I have scheduled monthly meetings through the end of the year.
Okay. I think that's a good cadence. Communication and Community Outreach and Citizen Academy Subcommittee.
Andrew and I, will be talking this week to schedule that meeting. Our first priority was getting that Economic Development Committee scheduled. And next in line is this one. So we should have a scheduled date to kick off.
Moving right along. Is this new business, under 30? Yeah, that would be under new business, right? New business, number 30, we have 2 things under new business that I know of. And then anything else that comes forward, or actually 3. Something old business, 2 things new. The first item under new business is a memo from our town clerk, Lillian Drain, regarding the resignation of Devaney, and say it for me.
Reese Boyajian.
Reese Boyajian, from the Open Space Committee. Devaney is a huge contributor in town. She's on various boards and committees at any time, and we're very sad to lose her. And this opens up another space on the Open Space Committee. I'd like to have a motion to accept the resignation of Devaney.
Only because it's protocol. I'll make the motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
Seconded.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? just
Thank you, Deb.
fine now. She's just wonderful. Roll call.
Okay.
Candida.
Carboni, aye.
Hunt eye.
Under new business, we also received a letter from DEP. Andrew, would you like to speak to that?
Which one, the WB Mason?
Oh, I was doing the DEP letter for,
Oh,
yeah, I was gonna do WB Mason under old business.
oh,
DEP letter?
I had it under new business. The DEP letter was under
That's under
correspondence.
correspondence.
Oh, okay, so we're not gonna chit chat it now, that's fine. Old business,
Madam Chair, under new business is,
This,
um,
this.
do I have an opportunity to discuss a request regarding Rocky Woods?
it sounds new.
Right, and you were going to, we discussed it. So the request is concerning mitigation for Rocky Woods and requiring connection to a public water source. So
So whose request is this, and where's this
I-
request coming?
what I'm proposing is to get select board support for the ZBA to require that as a mitigation.
So you had a request, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, no,
Maybe I'm doing this
I'm
wrong.
just trying to understand why, how it got to the table, because new business is usually something that comes in after the agenda has been posted, so you got somebody,
No. This is my,
your personal request?
yes.
Oh.
Yes. I thought it was gonna be added to the agenda, but maybe it didn't.
I thought we could do it under select board updates, because you're the water designee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
so we can do it under new business if we wanna have a conversation on it. 'Cause that train has,
I know.
as they say, that train
Yes.
has.
Yeah, super sailed. So the issue is that the latest proposal for Rocky Woods, based off of the last CBA meeting, is it's now gonna be 178 single-family housing units. With that, it's gonna be 178 individual wells. The abutters have expressed concerns on what that could potentially do to the water table. ZBA has asked the developer to explore tying into city water supply, would be New Bedford, by the way. It is feasible. The developer has an easement out to Howland Road.
So we don't have a intermunicipal agreement currently with New Bedford.
We don't.
For water.
It expired back in 2010.
Did I see that on the agenda?
That was a goal of mine.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
just throwing that out there, we
Well,
don't
okay,
currently
maybe it's
have.
something we need to discuss. So the ZBA has asked the developer if they would be willing to explore connecting to New Bedford, in which it can be done. Like I said, he has an easement out to Holland Road, and then the New Bedford water line ends in East Freetown. The developer at the last ZBA meeting did note that he is not interested in pursuing that. I'm assuming it's due to, when asked why they did not confirm why, I'm assuming it's due to cost. It's at least 2 to 3 miles. Again, I'm aware that the fire chief has some issues with some fire protection, a lack of response from the developer, and the fire chief at the moment is not confident that adequate fire protection can be provided without a town water supply. Though this is going to be the first 40B, large-scale 40B housing unit in town that does not have connection to a public water supply. So I have concerns. I am proposing that the select board draft a letter to the ZBA formally requesting that they make a town water supply a required mitigation for that development to continue.
So I don't know, and maybe if we had a lawyer here, we could ask them. I don't know that we have the ability to request that, because it's not a special permit that they're going for.
Well, they are going for a special
It is
permit.
They are gonna go for the special permit.
We can make any request we want. It's just whether it's falls outside of bounds of what we can even ask.
It feels like it might be because of the prohibitive nature of the cost of the project. But I will let the board discuss
I
the
would,
merits of the,
I would rather push for it and have a more in-depth discussion through the ZBA with the developer. At the moment, it appears the ZBA is not interested in pursuing that discussion.
so would you be saying that we would instruct the ZBA to do it then? Because
Exactly. That's what I'm requesting.
Can that request be made if public water supply is not available?
Because we don't have that connection currently.
We
We
could
don't
s-
have an intermunicipal agreement.
We could certainly word it contingent upon a new intercity municipal agreement, which I believe is an objective for this year.
It's an objective, but it's a future conversation I was gonna bring to the board. I don't know what New Bedford's appetite for that is.
Yeah, the
the
wheels are kind
moment.
of slow for that particular
Well, the
subject.
the other issue too is that this water supply line terminates in Freetown. So is it a Freetown intercity municipal agreement, or?
No, because New Bedford would own that water line, so it would be with New Bedford. And all water flowing to and through
Okay.
would be considered under New Bedford's water license.
Right.
Okay, regardless of where
Yep.
it's.
Yep, that's just geography, where it's terminating. Ownership would be with New Bedford.
It's a slippery slope,
It is,
and it's one more step towards the town of Lakeville Water Department. You know, that's where I think where we're headed with these different public water supplies, and now if you make that type of request, the stipulation, you know, who controls, we have issues at other spots with water, as you are certainly more familiar with than I, as you are working firsthand with that. That's just my gut, that we're heading that direction,
I
you
think,
know,
first.
and I certainly, you know, I was at the first of those meetings. I wasn't able to attend the second, but I certainly understand the neighbors' concerns, you know, with that.
Yeah, you can't say that that's not gonna be
No,
impact.
no, 100%, and I certainly understand the public safety end of it as well, with the lack of water, you know, available.
But that would be the chief's call and not ours, because that
Correct.
water
Cor-
is under his purview for safety
Correct,
purposes.
correct.
So it seems that if the chief had concerns, that would be a more appropriate venue to bring his concerns to the ZBA. Or does he even need to bring them to the ZBA?
I would think he needs to make them known.
Yeah.
That you're either gonna put up a substantial water tower, or you're gonna build a big pond that we
Yeah.
can draft out of, or
Yeah, because.
whatever the chief deems to be the best course of action, with the possibility of 170 homes in close proximity with no water
Yeah.
to speak of.
I do think it's a
Oh,
chief-driven.
Agree, that
Conversation.
issue is separate.
Yeah.
It potentially supports the idea of a public water supply. I agree, that's a separate issue.
I would have no issue asking Andrew to explore the waters. The waters. Explore the New Bedford angle and see if there's even an appetite for a conversation, because none of that is possible without that conversation happening first.
Yeah, I wanted to bring it to the select board to say yes to that before doing it on
Well,
my
look
own.
at how it happened.
Yeah, there we go. I know. So
It's kismet.
there's a lot of stuff in that area that I think would need water. Like the campus doesn't have
Right.
water at all, which is not great.
Right. No, and the water quality is subpar on campus, and it's got severe turbidity.
It was brought up at the meeting that there's a concern with the hydrogeology there, you know, are you tapping into the same source? You don't know if you're reaching into 500,000 gallons or 500 million gallons of water, you know.
Yep. All right, so this board's will, Andrew, explore that, but in your conversations with the chief, he can explore the avenues that he feels are appropriate based on his guiding principles of safety.
And then we continue this discussion.
Absolutely.
Once we get the,
Yes. Yep.
once we feel out.
Once
the
we
benefit.
know something on that, but I appreciate you bringing it to the board.
Yep, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Who's gonna do this under old business? Unless anyone has more new business. More new business, no? All right, old business. We voted last time to award the paper contract to, who was it, Tracy? Spruce. There was an error in the paperwork that they gave us, and they are unable to fulfill that in the way that we would hope they would. So we are going to go with the next runner-up, which is WB Mason of Brockton, for paper items listed below for a one-year period commencing on July 1, 2025. This award is conditioned upon receipt that the appropriate documents specified in the IFB. The Surge's regional administrator will collect documents on behalf of the municipality and present them for final approval and signature. So can I get a motion
So
to
moved.
award? All right, second.
Seconded.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Plug eye.
Candido, aye.
Carboni, aye.
Hunt eye.
You want to sign that and pass it down? Do it. All right. And under old business, revisit the request to use the town pavilion for a wedding ceremony on August 23rd, 2025.
So I met with Jennifer Jones, Nancy LaFave, and Joanne Upham and Joan Morton to kind of look at our facility use policy for the old townhouse and the center stage. That's gonna come back to here on August 5th. I think the nature of this event, I think it's fine to approve tonight, and I reached out to Lucinda Perry, and that, the wording regarding
No public
no
use?
public use, it wasn't meant to be like you can't be there.
I figured it wasn't, but it was just
Yeah, she's kind
language
of
that was.
horrified that's how it came across, but, yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. My one question is, when you're meeting with stakeholders, do we have a clear line of communication that this is actually town property and that all town property falls under the Board of Selectmen, but we are absolutely in every position to listen to concerns and try to ameliorate any of those issues,
Definitely.
but.
They had a lot of good feedback on the policy, because the policy's so old, and there's a million things you don't even think of that have come up that I think can be improved.
I'm really appreciative that they hopped on and raised their hand to be part of the process.
Yeah, and I think the next step is myself and Chris will talk about that policy and then
Yep.
vet it before we come back on August 5th.
Chris loves a good policy.
So do we need to make a motion?
We do.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the town pavilion request for a wedding ceremony on August 23rd, 2025, from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m.
And waive the insurance, does that need to be part of it, Tracy? And waive the insurance requirements.
Yeah,
That was part of the.
Yep.
Okay.
Seconded.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none.
Plug eye.
Candido, aye.
Carboni, aye.
Hunt eye.
Ratify the vote on the request for Taunton Water connection for 49 Clear Pond Road. And where is that, in here? Is it in here?
I did not.
It was in the packet last time, I forgot to add it tonight, but it's, I know, it's the Taunton Water connection to Clear Pond. It's the connection to Clear Pond Park.
Oh, yes. The
backstory is,
Okay,
when we
yes.
did the installation, we just didn't
Got it.
do the legwork to get the actual meter.
I'm okay with that one.
So moved.
Yeah.
Seconded.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Plug eye.
Candido, aye.
Carboni, aye.
It's so hard when someone puts the address and I'm like, that's not what we call it.
Yeah.
Thank you. update from the TA on planning support needs.
Yeah, if Lacey, you wanna come up too and join in? I sent this very last second, so I don't expect to have any sort of like positive feedback or explanation tonight. We came close to bringing a town planner to the board's attention for an appointment. It was a last second back out. We were all excited about the candidate, but now we have to go forward what we have to do. So I have 4 options that I can think of, and they kind of overlap with each other potentially. The main one is to keep the town planner job posting active. I know from just looking for jobs in the past, you come by a job and it's 90 days old, and you think, is it still open? So I think as long as it's on there, it can still drag attention. I'm still trying to call people to attract the job to people. Right now, hasn't worked. Another option is to contract with a part-time, project-based town planner in the interim. I think I've mentioned to the board in the past, there's a neighboring town planner that has offered her services less than 10 hours a week to do.
Did we get a price on that? I don't remember that.
It was $60 an hour.
Okay, so much better than the 200 we were quoted
Yeah.
for other services.
But she was very part-time. She wouldn't come into the office. It's all remote, but she would work on like the stormwater bylaw and all that kind of overarching stuff that comes to town meeting that we just don't have the.
And up to 10 hours a week was the.
Yeah, it would have to be a conversation with her, but she said 10 hours. But there's a lot of stuff, we just don't have the staff capacity to do a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. And this person would be hired as a part-time person, or would they just be a contracted person?
I would think it'd be a part-time person.
Either a part-time or a stipend, however the board would wanna set the verbiage on it. Part-time you could do because it's the 10 hours, so you could do it that way.
That's one option. Another one, I know you've probably all heard this before, is to do the request for proposal for a consultant. You could save money that way. You could allocate some of the salary already appropriated for that. The issues with that potentially are the costs. I know a lot of private companies charge a premium, like you said, $200 an hour.
$200 an hour.
But it's a good option just to get a price quote, just so you know what we're dealing with, like officially. We don't have to award. You can just go out there and see what's out there, just as another option. And probably the option maybe Lacey and I like the most maybe is to reclass lower and then have an on-call to kind of drag them through. We were thinking potentially, this has kind of come up in the last few days, have 2 classifications, so it'd be like a planner 1 and 2. You put it out, obviously you would pay them less based on what you get. You would
Oh, understood. Yep,
you would pay them less, potentially have no experience.
yep. You
Then
would
you-
tier it, basically.
You would tier it.
Yep.
And then you would kind of have the on-call services, just if the person wasn't experienced, you could have like a chunk of change to like help them with stuff they're weak on.
Got it. So, just throwing out the part-time person as part of the conversation as well. For a part-time person, it would be a temporary part-time person, or would this be a net new role? Like I'm just trying to see how you're gauging it. Would it just be the?
Now that I think of it, it'd probably be more of a consultant type of deal. It would be temporary. It wouldn't be
Yeah.
a long-running position.
Yeah, because I did have a chance to look at the last set, when the RFP went out for planners, forever ago, like, I think it was, predates you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely does.
and the prices were 170 to 200 across the board for those type of services.
I remember seeing the 2 quotes. Those are like premium,
Yeah.
I would say, companies.
Yeah, that was someone that was doing the top and the lower stuff for there. I'll let the rest of the board speak to it, but I'm partial to reclassifying and tiering, but we need a stopgap. We need to have someone, as soon as possible, come and support the planning board, because they've been without support for 6 months now, and we just have so much coming up that I worry that it's creating a little bit of a knowledge issue.
Yeah, and it was frustrating. You think you have a solution,
Yes.
and then all of a sudden,
I know you were
even said
very
on
excited
camera we
about
had
it.
somebody. Next day, we don't. So
You jinxed it.
I know. So yeah, we can explore. We've already Lacey's kind of put together what the tier would look like. So
Yeah. How's the board feeling on the options as presented?
Well, are we better off with up to a 10-hour-a-week person who can hit the ground running and actually do the job in its entirety, as opposed to tiering with people with maybe skill sets that need help, and then bringing in somebody else to pick things up, or adding to their training to be able to do that? Are you better off taking somebody experienced?
So I think that the select board kind of, also with the planning board, needs to kind of make that decision. So ideally, if we can't get that planner too, which is a town planner, right? I would see it as you get I'm sorry, I went back, no, the two's the higher, right?
Two's the higher,
Okay,
right, yeah.
so you would get that planner level 1, that's a little bit less experience, pair them with that part-time person that has the experience to give them that knowledge, and then
And the dollars end up working out the
the
same.
dollars end up working out the same, and once that planner 1 is comfortable enough and has learned what they needed, they jump into that role of planner 2.
So
Unless the town thinks that a
Question on that.
part-time would be able to fulfill the needs of the town, and then we look at that as more of a permanent solution.
So wouldn't you just go with the part-time person and then tier 1 and just move forward with that as a strategy rather than?
I would, and I would
Waiting.
leave it as 1, 2, because once that 1 becomes,
seasoned
yeah,
enough.
once they're seasoned enough, they would take over the 2, and we would cut out the part-time. That would be my best solution, but again, I think it's dependent on I've heard it, from multiple people, do we need a full-time planner? Do we just want a part-time planner? So I think those are kind of decisions that need to be made.
I think the easiest thing would be to do the part-time project-based person, because we have so many projects, like the planning board, rules and regs. Serpent's doing that, but there's no one that we have that they've bounce ideas off
Yep.
of. Like I don't know what to do on that, so someone that I've already talked to, I think she could come in and run that process pretty easily, and it'd be 10 hours tops, and I think she could do it, while we get everything else kind of run up.
Have we even looked at hiring a part-time planner?
What do you mean?
Just someone classified as a planner but part-time.
And I'm saying this because there are retired people out there that are no longer, employed full-time as a planner.
That's something we could certainly look at.
Just worry about this just taking forever.
No, I mean, we have to have, they have been without,
Yep.
support. So I mean, if we had something temporarily in there, but, if we can find somebody that, for part-time, 10 hours a week, because my concern is that if we bring in somebody, with a contract, is it a guaranteed 10 hours a week? Or is it based on availability, I think that that's too vulnerable, or there's too many variables there.
I think the contractor would be more of a project base, because you're paying them basically per.
Yeah, they're not covering the little
But they're,
stuff. They're
and
just
the
covering
thing is, they're very expensive. I've called a bunch of different companies to see if, they even support that kind of role, and I haven't got any good feedback on it. The part-time thing, I like the idea, it's just, so it's taking the current job posting that we have, making it the part-time, and then, scaling it back on.
Using the same dollar
Yeah.
amount, just at a
part-time rate, and
Yeah.
then having that ability, like I said, for planner 1, 2, to kind of jump in.
And I was thinking on that planner one, maybe it becomes an intern type position, because I know it's getting late, and I'm glad that we're having this discussion, but maybe it's gonna be better for another day. I just have concerns. There's so much involved in understanding the realm of planning and land use. There's certifications, there's education, there's training. And to have somebody that has a little knowledge, that we would be, I guess, expecting to do.
Turn the keys over. I don't disagree that we're not presented with a lot of fantastic, like,
Yeah,
it's not
great
because you're
ideas.
doing
Yeah.
great ideas. It's just, it's hard to implement and everything's hard. Would the board have an appetite to just go forward with a temporary solution for, say, 3 months while we're going with the other solutions, to have that 10-hour per week person just fill in as a temporary interim solution? Just as like a seasonal worker?
Option 2 then, is that to be option 2?
Hold on. Yes. And then explore the other things in concert with it, to see if we could get a part-time person and then phase out that other person. Or maybe we need to augment them with 10 hours a week for special projects. But I did hear the same feedback, that we don't need a full-time planner for the town. I've heard that, and, you know, the planner has different roles and responsibilities as far as, we could put it so they're dealing with grants and, all other land use, and not just, traditional planner.
Yeah,
portions.
some of our neighbors do have part-time. Marion has one part-time, Attaboy's has a part-timer. The one I'm talking about,
Maybe you
Rochester.
could reach out to them specifically, and, because they have a network of people, if they're in that situation where, they're highly qualified but have taken either a step back or in a different situation, that part-time would be appealing.
I mean,
Yes.
through you, Madam Chair, if you did do a planner 1 or 2 and they needed guidance, would they be calling the person that you have in mind as a contract
It's
for
possibility.
guidance?
It's
So-
possibility, yeah.
So, go with the contract, go with the person that they would call, I would think would eliminate that.
It would,
For
but that would be just for like the projects
Cor-
and stuff like that, not like,
Correct.
like the rules and regs or whatever people are working on. But this person that you're thinking of has loads of experience and has kind of seen it all, I'm guessing.
Yeah, she has about 9 or 10 years
Yeah.
in total. There's a lot of stuff that kind of fell off the town meeting agenda the closer we got, and I think there's a bunch more. We just don't have the capacity to run that stuff down, really. But I think someone could for 10 hours a week, could do all that.
Would anyone like to make a motion for that fact, and then we can
Ratify
move
it
forward? Yeah.
at the next meeting.
Yep.
What am I motioning?
I make a motion to have Andrew explore the option number 2 from his memo.
Oh, all right. I make a motion to direct the town administrator to work out a temporary contract with a part-time project-based town planner for interim purposes for roughly a 3-month period. At the same time, create a part-time planner position for the town of Lakeville and post ASAP. Does that make sense?
I'm in full support of that. It made complete sense to me.
Okay.
So I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Clock eye.
Candida.
Carboni, aye.
Hunt eye.
Thank you guys for sounding it out at the very end of a very long meeting. I think this will be a really good and timely solution to continue to deliver support to the planning board, and then find what the right level of support for planning that we need. Old business, did I miss any other old business here?
So we're just gonna have to make a note that we're gonna ratify that vote at the next meeting.
Yep.
Okay.
The next meeting is August 5th, is our next regularly scheduled meeting. We may have to have a remote meeting to do some housekeeping for transfers. For correspondence, we have a letter from the library director regarding food fines, appointment notice from the Board of Health, letter from the Tuesday Club, letter from DEP, and a letter from Comcast. Andrew, can you just briefly outline the letter from DEP?
Yes, so as I'm sure you're all aware, the O'Barron Phase 6 is coming up. It's in front of the ZBA. And there's been a long-running water issue probably for the last 20 or so years on site. We've discussed it before, but it's tied to the master meter. In the end, residents get charged more money for the water usage than the average Taunton water customer.
Getting charged a commercial rate, correct?
Correct. And then there's also water quality concerns. It's on a closed loop. I don't believe it gets flushed very often. So there's been a long-running issue, obviously, and the city of Taunton and the developer and DEP have kind of had conversations the last 6 months of what the definition is of a water supplier. DEP wrote a letter to us, Taunton, and the developer, basically with the determination that O'Barron Hills is not a supplier of water as defined by the Massachusetts Drinking Water Regulations.
And what does that mean exactly for their finding? Because that's not super specific.
We don't know. We don't know, so we're trying to run that down. We don't know if that means Lakeville's on the hook for it, whether Taunton is. We just don't know at the moment. So I've reached out to town council. We have a meeting coming up this week to kind of determine that. So at this point, I don't really know what it means.
Yeah, it's a very
Broad.
nebulous, broad term to signify that they've done hard work, but not really tell us anything. So, would we get an update on the next town administrator updates so the people at home can know, because I know it's closely watched?
Yeah, we're meeting on Friday.
Okay.
I'll give an update to the board in that on Friday with the TA report.
Much appreciated.
Yep.
Okay. We've done it. Agenda item number 34, executive session pursuant to MGL Chapter 30A S 21A6 to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real estate if the chair declares that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body, and the chair does, and pursuant to MGL Chapter 30A S 21A3 to discuss strategy with respect to potential litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigation position of the public body, and the chair so declares, and not to return to open session.
So moved.
Seconded.
Roll call. Candido, aye.
Carboni, aye.
Hunt, aye.
And let the record reflect at 9:17.
Thank you. Timekeeper.